Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Political Theater, everybody. This is episode 171. I'm Walter Kurt, and I'm happy to be back here on Friday with you guys. We've got a ton to go over today, guys. There's been a bunch of really exciting news. Most importantly, though, is that Don Lemon, has been arrested. Fantastic. Now, he was already bailed out, or, he didn't even have to pay bail, whatever it is. But that doesn't matter. He was charged with 2 federal felonies, and that means that he's going to have to go through the process. And I'm already seeing people talk about this and act as if it's not some win, as if it's not something important. It definitely is important, and we've definitely got a lot to talk about with it. So we're going to make sure we go through all of that. We've got a ton of other stories to go over. It looks like the Senate and Trump are trying to make a deal to keep DHS funding going on. The temporary protective status for Haitian migrants has also ended. And also another story we need to talk about today, which is super exciting, is that apparently we may have achieved some form of AGI. Well, maybe. I don't know if that's really true or not, but it is pretty interesting regardless. We're going to talk about all of that and a whole lot more tonight. So thank you guys for being here this evening. If you guys are tuning in on any of our other platforms, Rumble, Substack, YouTube, Apple, podcast, anywhere you guys want to listen to this show, I appreciate everyone who comes to the show. Make sure you guys leave me a comment if you guys got something to say. You can always put a comment down below. I do try to read the comments over on the live version of it, but I also try to make sure I read them afterwards and follow up with people. I always appreciate any feedback on the show, guys. So I appreciate everyone who comes to the show. Okay, so let's make sure we get into this, though, for everybody who is now showing up on the X space. Thank you guys for being here. So we've got first to talk about is obviously Don Lemon's arrested. Oh, just beautiful. Just fantastic stuff, guys. I mean, listen, I don't care if he's already out, and I don't care if he didn't have to pay any bail. He's going to have to pay attorneys, and he's already hired a really high-dollar attorney, and he's going to have to go through the whole process. Which I'm here for. I'm completely here for it. So, I don't care if it's, just a temporary thing for him or what's going on with that. It is a great day that Don Lemon's arrested. And it tells you something really important, actually. Just by the fact that the DOJ has arrested somebody of note tells you that they're actually trying to do things. And my guess is that this really means to me, maybe I'm overreading it, maybe I'm overanalyzing it, but I think to me what it really means is that the real indictments and the stuff that we really want done is actually happening. Okay, that is happening, but they're trying to be very careful about it to make sure things go forward for them. So I'm making sure that I'm going to keep watching it, but I'll tell you right now, to me, I'll tell you just by the fact that they're doing this in the first place, but just by the fact they went through with it, tells you a lot. Tells you a lot. I think that the DOJ may be actually moving. They're just trying to do things as carefully as they can. And obviously, it's a little bit more difficult to secure things when you've got a guy who's on video. It's obvious that he committed crimes in this case. So there's not really any way he can deny it. So I think that works out for us in that scenario. So Don Lemon has indeed been arrested, and I'm sure the meltdown is going to be just fantastic. I can't wait. Now, the big part about
have already been glorious. Like you've been seeing all these people, like you see Hakeem Jeffries, you see Jake Tapper.
Yeah, listen, the meltdowns, Jack Dron, the meltdowns are fantastic. We're going to go through some of those, but the big part about it to me is that the process is the punishment, people. That's the real way that I look at all of this. The process is the punishment, baby. So I am okay with him getting it out, and I don't care. There is a ton of other stuff that's going on. There is a ton of other important news, but Don Lemon being arrested is just fantastic. I mean, you don't get to be a journalist and just commit crimes and then claim, well, I'm doing it on camera. Okay, that doesn't work like that. Okay, you can't just, well, oh yeah, I'm a journalist, so I'm going to violate federal law while I'm a journalist. So that means that I get to, I get out of it because I'm a journalist. That's not how this works at all. There's no part about that works like that. We're going to get into that, and we're going to go through some of the meltdowns, which are going to be fantastic. I definitely want to talk about, I don't know if you guys have been seeing this other stuff that's happening today for the open claw AI that's been going on over the place. This is actually really incredible, and I actually spent the day building one, so I think it's pretty amazing. We'll talk about some of that stuff too. But obviously the primary story is going to be Don Lemon. We've also got the DHS funding. It looks like the appropriations that are coming through some of these bills are, I don't know if I like all of it, but it's better than nothing. And we'll see what I think about this idea that they've got 2 weeks before they defund DHS. I'm not, Trump needs to keep going. Hold on, dude. Don't interrupt. Just let me keep talking for a second here. We need to make sure we actually get the funding for DHS. So there's 2 weeks until that comes forward. And then we've got a number of other things that are happening this coming week. This coming week should be really interesting. I know that I've just seen that Nick Shirley is actually out in San Diego with another journalist named Amy Reithart, which that's interesting because I'm actually planning to be in San Diego next week. So that's pretty interesting that we've got her out there. So the fraud investigation for what I'm working on, guys, that has continued to expand. That's going to continue to go nationwide. I'm actually in the process of going out and meeting up with more people. And I happen to be meeting with that same journalist this next week. So it's interesting that Nick Shirley's already out there. It looks like there might be a real story out there in the first place. So California's coming up. But at the end of the same time, I wish I could be two places at once because TPS status for the Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio is ending on February 2nd. February 2nd. Now, you guys, I don't know if you saw the story that I put out earlier this week, that they had over the weekend here in Ohio, this past weekend, not this coming one, but the past one, they actually had a mock ICE resistance meeting in a church. I'm not joking. They apparently, if someone sent this to me, a friend of mine in town sent this to me, and he said, listen, they were wearing ICE uniforms. They were wearing ICE uniforms, barricading doors. They were, they're doing stuff like hiding in churches and claiming, well, we're practicing our freedom of religion. You can't come in here and deport people. I mean, what the hell is happening? So I am hoping that I can actually go out and find one of those places this weekend. I'm really hoping and I managed to get a hold of some of this stuff because that would just be fantastic to be able to see some of that in person. So I'm hoping that I can see some of this stuff in person. So that should be coming out this weekend. I'm sure they'll have another mock ICE something over the weekend. I'm going to look for it. Now, of course, I probably can't go to any of those meetings because they would never let me within 1,000 yards of them. But that's okay. I'll figure out a way to get other people in there. And there's a number of other things that are expanding out. We're starting to go through some of the Signal chats. The Signals, they have the same Signal network that is operating on a nationwide scale is operating here in town. So there's a number of other ways we're going to be looking at this. And Ohio should be very interesting over the next couple months because with TPS status ending for the Haitians, my theory on the Haitians was always that they're not going to leave. Okay, and the reason that they're not going to leave is because they have been on the government dime this whole time. The Haitians here in Springfield get a ton of stuff. Okay, they get free food, they get free rent, they have almost unlimited money. Every single one of these people, when I go to the store here in town, I always see them with shopping carts just overflowing with food. I mean, it's just completely absurd how it looks. So we're going to go through some of that, and we'll see what happens when I go out here in town, because I'm sure I'm going to be able to find it. So it should be entertaining. Now, the other side of this is anybody that believes that in Springfield, Ohio, there's going to be raves of, mobs of leftists that are out here opposing ICE, that is not going to happen. Okay, so there might be some that try to cause a ruckus, but I'll tell you right now, the majority of the residents of this area, what's going to happen is we're going to put up a lawn chair and we're going to watch because we've been waiting for it. We can't wait. I'm excited for it. I know the majority of the people in this city are excited for it. It should be very interesting to see what they do because DeWine himself has actually, this is our governor, our useless rhino governor, DeWine, has essentially been opposed to the idea of getting rid of their TPS status because all of his buddies make tons of money from them. And a lot of the businesses in town, there's one business that I read a report about. They said that they would go out of, they'd have to fire 200 something employees. I was like, well, that's kind of a problem. All right, then maybe you should have been hiring American workers to start with, and we wouldn't have had this issue. So we'll see what happens, but I'll tell you right now that I'm very excited to see the end of TPS status here in Ohio. And with the Haitian migrants, again, the only worry that I had the whole time was that when you cut off the money that they may turn into criminals, and then I'd have 30,000 criminals in my city, which is not good. But if we're going to have a crackdown, and it looks like the Trump administration is already saying we're going to have a crackdown, I am very much here for it. Very much here for it. Okay, guys. Let's get into the rest of the show, though. Jack Tron, you came up on the show. What's up, buddy? What's up, man?
Hey, so first off, I just wanted to say that, it is a great day that Don Lemon has been arrested. So I think really it is the best part. All the naysayers out there saying, oh, nothing's going to happen. Oh, nothing's going on, So they're pretty quiet now. But I'm just wondering, Walter, if we also want to talk about the Epstein files that were dropped. Now, I know we're all exhausted of this topic. Like me personally, I would love to never hear the name Jeffrey Epstein again, but it is kind of a story that is relevant right now if we want to discuss it.
Well, I mean, it's worth talking about at least a little bit because of the stuff that came out today. To be honest with you, I haven't had a whole lot of time to go through some of it. Was it really all that crazy? I mean, was it like, what's the biggest stuff that came out? Now, some people are in the chat are already saying it's absolutely crazy. So let's hear it. What's some of the stuff? Because I know you were looking at it earlier. I haven't had time to review a lot of it yet. So I'm curious to see what you found on it. And by the way, guys, make sure you guys, before we do that, guys, make sure you guys share the link out of this show. This is the Political Theater, weeknights at 9. Thank you guys for being here. If you guys want to support this show, guys, go to wcdispatch.com, and you can always subscribe right here on X. But make sure you share the link out and let people know that we are indeed live right now because we got a lot to go through tonight, guys. So make sure you guys share the link out. All right, go ahead, Jack Tron.
So there was a couple things that came out of this. So the first one that everyone's really talking about is the stuff that came out about Bill Gates. So what happened was that Bill Gates was intimate with some Russian hookers, and it turns out that he got some STDs from them. And then it
What?
turns out he yeah,
It's
no,
just
it gets
amazing.
better. So then what happens is that he ends up giving that STD to Melinda without her knowing about it. And then he asks Epstein if he can provide he can provide him with some antibiotics that he can slip to Melinda without her knowing about it.
Oh my God.
And then her and then Gates is, I think, PR guy, lawyer, I don't know, close associate of his, was he asks him to help him do that, and he's just like, no, I'm not doing this is unethical and basically borderline illegal, so I'm going to tender my resignation right now.
Well, that's just ridiculous.
That's not even the juicy. That's nothing compared to what I saw. So you have to follow America First Post, AF Post. He was dropping all the knowledge on this, bro. This is not good. Walter, you have to look at AF Post and see what he was saying, dude. George Bush Sr. And by the way, guys, this is literally like 0.1% of the actual files. So let me just start with this. Look, George Bush Sr. was allegedly torturing and, torturing kids.
So before we continue with this kind of I haven't read any of this, so I just need to confirm something here. So now, is there any credibility to the stuff that's being said? Because I know I read something earlier.
They're emails from credible people, and the names in these ones, they black out who they're from or whatever. Prince Andrew was doing the same thing, torturing girls, and then had the girl killed afterwards. This is not fucking good, guys. I am very worried about where this is going to go. Because look, all these, Elon was in it again, talking about going to Epstein's Island again. He literally said, quote unquote, in the email, and they did have his name on there. They didn't black that out. Elon said, when are we gonna go to your island when's your crazy party at the island or whatever? And then what else was in there? Oh my God, there was so much, bro. I've been working all day, really busy, but I looked at him and dude, this is not fucking good.
Well, I haven't, like I said, I haven't reviewed all of this stuff yet. Now I'm going through some of the stuff on AF Post page right now. The problem with that, again, the problem with a lot of this stuff, guys, is that when you see some of the stuff in here, part of the problem that I had with the way that they were going to do this anyway was that they were just going to release everything and have, it's who is saying what is the problem. I mean, you've got people that are just making random accusations. Is it actually credible accusations? That's the question.
He's literally, Walter, he's screenshotting the emails. He's screenshotting the emails and showing them to us, doing all the digging up from the files that they've released for us. They have Elon Musk's brother, Harold Musk. There's a email from Jeffrey Epstein's partner or whatever, friend.
Hey, emailing. I have actually, so hold on a minute here. This one that I'm reading right here. So I have actually heard this before. This is very old. This is an old thing that I've seen before, with the ritualistic sacrifice with the feet cut with a scimitar, blah, 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 that sort of thing. That came out many years ago. Now that I've heard before, and that was directly referencing Bill Clinton and the one that I heard that from. But to me, just reading through some of this stuff again, the question is, we don't know who it is that's saying this is from, and we don't know to who. And again, we don't know the credibility of any of this stuff. That's part of the problem with it. Like, the emails themselves doesn't mean anything. I mean, you can say whatever you want, but that doesn't mean it makes it a credible accusation.
And then there's another
on
email.
the case of like the Bill Gates thing, though, it is the close associate talking with Epstein, so there is a good probability that was true.
Well, I mean, I don't know, but
these are legit.
Legit doesn't mean anything. I mean, like, the problem is who is saying what to who. That doesn't matter. Like, if you can send an email to anybody saying this stuff happened, but the question is there any evidence?
Emails from like Epstein directly to Elon. Like, a lot of these emails, they don't have the names blacked out. Some of them they do because they're whatever. But
well, I'm just for reference here. I'm looking at this one. The allegations regarding George Bush 1. It says from blank to blank, And it says, didn't realize Bush raped him too. You know, like this is interview with purported Epstein victim is what they're saying here. But
Apparently,
again,
Trump got a blowjob from Nikki Haley, and it's also confirmed that
oh
like
my
what we
God.
thought about Melania. There's an email from one of Epstein's whatever talking about how if the Melania story gets out, they're fucked or something like that. Because we all know that Melania, think about it, the first lady of the United States right now is a fucking Epstein victim.
Well, listen to me. Listen to me. This is the kind of stuff that we don't have any actual evidence to say that. Okay, so like just random stuff that's in emails does not attribute to actually being true evidence. Okay,
How did Trump meet Melania?
I don't know, dude. I don't care about this. Like, this
you go.
I mean, like, this is you're talking about a supermodel that has been existent forever, and he married her many, many, many years ago. I mean, again, the problem is we have with some of this stuff. Again, the problem with the Epstein stuff is that it just random emails does not mean that all of this stuff happened. Okay, just random essential emails about this is just not like that's
Walter,
not evidence.
I'm just letting you know right now, bro. I'm just telling you.
Well,
Walter,
I mean,
on George Bush Sr., there is some corroboration from Paul Bonacci. If I recall correctly, number one, they've got flight logs of him getting flown out to Washington, D.C., to Craig Spence's house for his house parties. There was a big homosexual prostitution scandal reported by the Washington Times back in 1989. And he's on video talking to Ted Gunderson, talking about him witnessing stuff between George Bush and underage boys.
And another thing, there's two I want to talk about. One is Howard Lutnick. Howard Lutnick told reporters that in 2005 he stopped talking to Epstein and cut him off completely. And then there's an email of Howard Lutnick emailing Epstein in 2012 asking him about going to his island or whatever.
and that's interesting.
What else? Yeah, and then what else was I gonna say? So in another email, hold on, I hear a train.
You're
Another
fine. So
email,
I'm just going through some of the stuff on AF Post here. This is going to be something that I'm going to have to go through a ton of this stuff to be even talk about it. To be honest with you, because there's like apparently there's just a ton of stuff on it. Yeah, well, again, the problem that I have with all of this though is that just genuinely just dumping all of this stuff out here, like as if it means something to me. This is part of the problem with it is that you can claim that all these things happen, but you just having random emails between random people doesn't do a whole lot for me. I mean, that doesn't help you at all. There has to be some sort of real evidence to actually manage to make it real for me. And again, if there's something that's true and there's real evidence
have the
that
videos and stuff too. What are you going to say when they release videos or in pictures and stuff?
If they have pictures and videos of them doing, listen, dude, if they have videos and pictures, then that's it. I mean, that's enough.
They can't release them, dude. Our country will be fucked. Do you realize what this is, Walter? This is like.
Listen to me. Everybody that talks about these things acts as if this is going to be the end all be all every single time anything is released from this. Okay, and to me, I'm not of that mind, dude. I just never have been. It doesn't do it for me, man. Like if there's going to be some sort of ground earth shaking revelation that shakes the country to its pillars or whatever the hell it is, I'm telling you, that's not the kind of stuff that I think happens. And one, I just don't think it happens because. Look, if they had this kind of stuff, if they actually had real evidence that they could use against these people, they would have used it in different ways already, especially against Trump. So
I'm going to be very interested to see what Trump and these people try and damage control say about this, because this is not good. I do not like this at all.
Well, again, to me, I haven't reviewed
Trump
everything.
Doesn't
so
have to. There's an email in there that from Epstein that says Trump explicitly said Trump never got one of the quote massages.
Well, look, guys, this is the problem I have with this stuff. Random emails from random people to random people is one thing. If you've got direct, real evidence from actual people that are credible, that are considered credible, that are actually deemed. I mean, I know some of the stuff in there. I was looking at the stuff that Jake Tapper posted earlier. It was like, oh my God, this link has been disabled since then. And even though it wasn't, it was just like people were swamping it. So it just stopped working. But then you read some of the stuff in there. It says, witness never called back. Never called back, never referred back, never even answered the phone, never gave any information about who they are. That's the problem. Okay, so like random stuff from random people doesn't mean anything. Okay, anybody can say anything. There's crazy things that come out in debate all the time. That's the problem I have with all this stuff. Until there's actually direct evidence that links all these things and actually has real, physical, tangible stuff behind it, what's the point of talking about it? I mean, that's the only problem I have with it, really. I mean, I know people want to talk about Epstein constantly as if it's the only thing that ever existed, but again, to me, unless there's something that's like, there's the smoking gun, which they claim there is a smoking gun every time, and then there isn't one. So, you know, at the end of all of this, until there's something that is actually real, that people can say, okay, no, you can't refute that. There is no refuting it. There is a direct link to a direct source involved and all that. I'm sorry, man. It just doesn't do it for me. I've been watching this stuff for years, and it's always the same. Oh my God, Groundhog Day. We've released more Epstein files. I mean, Jesus. I mean, come on.
You know, they've literally only released like less than 1% of the files, right?
Whatever, dude. I mean, like, it's going to go on for years at this point. The Epstein is now the story that never ends. Like I said, Groundhog Day. It's going to continue forever. I mean, it's until there's some sort of actual major serious breaking news that has the actual evidence that anybody can prove on it, and more importantly, much more importantly than prove is, can you prosecute on it?
These people are going to Epstein's Island. Like, what else do you need to see, Walter?
What, dude, going to Epstein, just because someone went to this place does not mean they're part of the same criminal network, okay? Just because they went there. You have to realize that this person existed for years.
Really?
What are you talking about, dude? You can say all sorts of stuff, okay? You can be in the same network and the same area as somebody else. That doesn't make you a criminal. And again, to me, more important than that, far more important than that, can you prosecute on it? That's what matters. Saying random things happened on random places with no evidence of it actually being a real thing doesn't do anything. Who cares?
Well, then why don't they release the files then, Walter?
Dude, they are releasing them. They just released more of them. They're releasing them all the time. They release them once every other month. I mean, it's
release it all.
Dude, listen to me. I don't have time to sit here and argue about whether they're going to release all of the files and they're slowly Dude, they're releasing them. Okay, you've got more files now than you did yesterday, don't you? So they are releasing files. I mean, to me, the problem I have with all this is a never-ending story. It just keeps on going and going and going, and there's never any real consistent end to it or anybody that gets prosecuted. Let me know when someone goes to jail. Until then, what the hell does it matter? I mean, who cares at this point? They can keep dumping more crap out here, but at the end of the day, nothing happens. So if they release something where there's a video and it shows people doing crimes in a way that you can commit said crimes, and they have those videos and they have those files, then that should be prosecuted on. But until then, oh my God, there's a new email from an anonymous person to an anonymous person that says something wild happened. Yippee. I mean, I'm not joking. The one that I just read a second ago that was on AF Post, I just read it, okay? It was the scimitars cutting the bottom of the feet. I literally heard that 15 years ago. Okay, I heard that 15 years ago.
That's why they're not releasing any new stuff, because they can. Because it literally will compromise our whole country. They even came out and said we can't release them because it's a national security threat.
Yeah, again, dude,
they're all friends, both sides, Democrats and Republicans. They're both.
Listen to me, dude. The problem that you have is that the idea that one day this thing is just going to break wide open and all of the people that you hate are going to go to jail. Dude. You're chasing ghosts.
I'm not saying they're going to go to jail because they're all friends at the end of the day.
Listen, dude, the problem is that you keep focusing on this idea that this stuff is going to be some sort of huge thing that's one day going to break into the world and world is going to change by it. I don't live like that. Okay. I just don't. I don't pay attention to it and don't live like that because, one, if there was something that was major and if there's something that they could use and actually use against in an area where people would go to prison, those people would be in prison. Okay, they would be in prison already, and we just don't have time to sit here and argue about it.
Themselves,
dude. Look, what do you want to do here? You've got more stuff than you did yesterday, and at the end of the day, I haven't gone through all of it, so I can't speak to all of it yet because obviously it's more than they've ever released before or whatever the hell it is. So until we actually
thing, Walter. Apparently, Alan Dershowitz, the lawyer, the Jewish lawyer, apparently he was Jared Kushner's handler. And in an email, it says pretty much Dershowitz, like I said, is his handler, and Trump's compromised by Israel. And that's why Kushner was pretty much running the 2016 administration. So,
Walter, if I could speak, I think I've got something to help you here.
Yeah, just hold on a second. We got other hands here. Go ahead, Illini, and then I'll go to you, Marquise.
Okay. I mean, look, if we're being fair here, first off, I think Trump's got there's a lot of unanswered questions about Trump. I'm crossing my fingers here but I think we're probably going to get answers on these things, or these files wouldn't have ever been released in the first place. Second off, I think everybody owes Dan Bongino and Kash Patel a certain amount of an apology. Obviously, there's been a huge dump today. We've gotten a lot more information on this. I think there's some questions that Trump will need to answer. The hope is, we'll get answers on them. Otherwise, we wouldn't be getting the files. And in that sense, in terms of the release of the Epstein files, this is a down payment. This is a significant down payment on promises made, promises kept. But I understand all the other points there too, that we've got a lot of questions to answer.
I mean, the deal to me, and this is the reason, like, when I talk about this story and when I hear about this story, is that it's like, whatever. I mean, like, if there's going to be some crazy thing that happens as a result of this, is there really? I mean, are we sure? Because, as far as I'm concerned, every time they release something, it's like, oh man, there it is. And then it's not. So that's sorry. I mean, like, I don't get excited about things anymore, guys. I just don't. Like, it doesn't happen to me. I don't think that one day that this is going to happen and that they're going to take the whole government down and it's going to be the reveal everything to everybody or something like that. I don't live like that. I just can't do it. I mean, this story has been going on forever. They've been talking about it
because they won't release the fucking files. Walter.
Dude, they just released more files. Like, that's what
I
my
don't
problem
think
is.
they released their
They
stuff.
really,
It comes
dude,
didn't have an
listen to me.
explanation.
Listen, the problem is you keep saying they're not releasing the files while they're literally releasing the files. So, like,
1%,
dude,
while they're being forced
they're
to do it.
releasing them. Like, you can keep saying that they're not releasing them, but they are. They're literally doing it. Okay, so they just released 3 million more. You got a lot more crap out here now than you did yesterday, and you're saying, "Well, release them all." Like, they are literally doing what you're saying. So my thing about this is, like, what are we doing?
Possible to release 3.5 million pages of files at once. Like the amount of data you have to do to upload that in one sitting.
Guys,
insane.
releasing the amount of files that exist on this, like, how many can there possibly be? I don't know. I mean, at this point, it's never ending. And this is my thing about it. It's like we said, oh, well, we thought we had them all, then we didn't have them all. Then Pam Bondi came out and said, I don't have it, and I do have it. I mean, and now she's like, now there's 3 million more, and it's Groundhog Day. Okay. It's literally Groundhog Day. I mean, like, every other month, we just get a new amazing magical dump of millions of files that everyone rips through and says, oh, we've got something, and then there's nothing there. And again, it's slowly being released. That's all you can say. And we've got more now than we ever did before. So, just keep waiting until the next one comes out. I'm sure that'll be out soon. I mean, apparently they're releasing everything now. So I don't know what else to go on with that. Go ahead, Marquise. I know you were trying to say something.
Thanks, Walter. Walter, first, thanks for all the work you've been doing in Ohio and other places you've been going. It's been really interesting to follow.
Thanks.
This is a very good example that I just went through today. I had someone send me a list of all the job cuts that we're facing here in America, yada, yada. Well, I delved into the article because it made it sound like it was such doom and gloom. And I want to put this in comparison to what we're talking about here in the files that I'm so sick of hearing about. Just because a document says that X amount of jobs are being lost, hypothetically, if you do not read where that information came from, and if you do not continue to break that information down, such as when did those job losses take place, what presidency they take place under, and furthermore, what country they were in. In this list of jobs, as I delved into it, the jobs that were so-called lost, there were jobs in other countries listed as loss of American jobs. Okay? So these files can be released every day, every second. But we have got to get over the gotcha moment. Nobody wanted any victims to take place, no matter if it's victims with that or victims today of any kind. But there's a group of us that are so focused on that gotcha moment that you can't concentrate on the good things being done.
Well, this is kind of what my thing is with it. It's like the gotcha moment is like, this is kind of the thing that everyone can say, oh my God, here it is. And it's like, but it's not. Okay, so that's the kind of the problem I have with it. It's like, I don't get the gotcha moments anymore, okay? The gotcha moments for me already existed when we were doing the Crossfire Hurricane stuff. And for those who were around here and around during the show when we were breaking out that, it was like, look, we knew we were right on it. And all the files, when they came out, they confirmed what we knew about that. And it was literally lined up with reporting that we already had. And for the Epstein stuff, I mean, if there's corroborating evidence and it shows all sorts of stuff across all different platforms, as far as I'm concerned, we haven't seen any of that yet. I haven't seen the direct corroboration between a lot of the stuff. Now, the Prince, whatever the hell his name is, Andrew or whatever his name is, that guy, we've got a video of his former political something or whatever his name, saying that he did do stuff to girls. Okay, that's a very credible thing. Okay, we have that video. We know that's happened. He's had all of his appointments and all of his titles and all that crap taken away from him. Things are happening to him. So the deal is that if we think that things aren't happening on this story, they are. But it's just the deal is how far are you going to be able to get it? Because to me, prosecuting, that's what matters more than anything else. So, I mean, claiming that these people are, someone's controlled by someone else and someone else has this and someone else has got that. I mean, okay, well, we'll see if that actually plays out, because I just don't buy it. I mean, it's until we actually have direct, real things from people that have real names attached to it or real evidence attached to it. Emails between people that hate each other doesn't really do a whole lot for me. And again, to me, the way that I look at it is that the amount of evidence that exists out here, if there was really stuff in there, really stuff that they could prosecute Trump with, they would have done that. That's the way I look at it. Okay,
And
go ahead, Marquise.
if they would just take things like that was sent to me today by a friend. I spent maybe 15 minutes, and 90% of the information I got came from the actual document they sent me. So that's what I'm saying, folks. Things are being shared left and right. We cannot automatically believe them without delving into it. I'm not saying that what you are saying are not in these papers. These files have been released. But when things are being released, if you cannot draw the whole correlation, just because you got to nibble it, it doesn't give you the whole story. And so that's my problem with it. But anything you get, I just want to caution you. Don't assume it's all correct until you delve into it as far as you can.
Well, and this
That's
is
how
and this
you
is
get to the truth of things.
well, and the real thing to me is that's why I'm not going to speak directly to some of this stuff right now, because I haven't read them all, and to be honest with you, I was just going to go and actually read people that I trust after a while and actually go find some of the stuff on it, because I don't have time to read 3 million pages. I've got other more important things to do in my eyes. So if we manage to get real information on this, I ran through some of the stuff on AF Post, and none of that to me looks like the end of the world. But we'll keep seeing, we'll keep looking through it. Obviously, if there's something really damaging and out there that's interesting, I'll definitely look at it. I've got no problem looking at the stuff. But to me, going out here and saying that it's the whole government's going to be taken down, everyone's going to go down. Well, yeah, I don't believe it. Sorry, I don't think that's ever going to happen. Okay, we need to keep moving here, though.
Thanks for letting me speak, and I'm going to sit down. But I just want, like I said, I'm not my 5 cents on this is not necessarily about the files, but just encourage folks to delve into what they're seeing, because that's how they're going to really know what's going on. Thank you for all your hard work.
Thanks, Marquise. Okay, and Lina, go ahead.
Oh, Walter's story. Did I have my hand up?
No, dude, the problem with me on Spaces is that they always break, and I can't tell who has their hand up. So if you don't have your hand up, then never mind. Henry, you came up here. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing just fine.
I gotta echo your sentiment, man. I am totally sympathetic to the gentleman. I'm not going to say your name; it's a stupid name, but who's expressing concern. You can't find somebody who would like to know more information. But here's the practical reality, and it's unfortunate, but it's true. And I think that's kind of where you're coming from, possibly, Walter. And correct me if I'm wrong. Where's the historical precedent for any of these, like, quote unquote mysteries, grand whatever, being revealed? And I don't mean to be black-pilled about it, but to be some degree of practical, like what do we know about JFK? No. Do we know about what happened in Las Vegas, the shooting in 2017, right? October or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
No. We don't know any of these things. Do we know what really happened in election 2020? No, we're learning some stuff, but are we going to know? Probably never. All it is a series of narratives and competing narratives, and it is kind of a unfortunate just reality, not like something that we just should accept holistically without any kind of scrutiny, but like at the same time the car has to keep moving, and the gentleman said something to the effect of 1%. 1% of what? How do we have one? Do you know how many files there are, or how much data there is, to be more precise about it? Like it's
I mean, this is the problem, Henry. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. Like, how we know that it would be 1% of the files, I didn't even question it.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
have some clear sense of everything, right, before you could even measure it. So, but
the big thing that, like, here's the thing that a bunch of people have said for years that they've got, like, video footage and a bunch of things. Like, so here's one interesting thing. Okay, years ago, this is many years ago at this point, I actually read into the whole concept of how the cameras and the video footage and all that stuff, that people always claim that there's like some big file archive that has a bunch of this footage and stuff in it. You know, that came from like a single witness in a single place, right? And there was like one image of like a drawer that people think that those were the supposed videotapes and all this stuff. But there's never been any corroborating evidence behind that other than that single witness testimony where some woman said she walked into a room and it was full of cameras. Like that's it. That's the one single thing that claims that comes from. That's never been corroborated by anybody. Okay, so there's the idea that there's some place out there that they've got all of this video footage and all this stuff out there. And maybe there is, but there's never been any corroborating evidence behind it. So to me, everybody's sitting here waiting for the day that we have like video footage of people doing things. Like, I don't know. And the bigger part about it to me is the practical reality of it is, are we going to be able to get any prosecutions out of it? Is there any evidence that is prosecutable in it? Which is one part of the problem with the argument against the bill that was pushed through to sign the Epstein, to get the release of the Epstein files, by the way. The argument against that, by the way, and there's one, I think there was like a single congressman who said it. He was like, releasing evidence. Yeah, releasing the files unredacted without that can put people that have nothing to do with it in harm's way, because people can then associate it with it, and it's damaging, and that's why you don't normally do it that way, which is true.
Right.
It's
Trump
true.
said the same thing, Walter, like about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I think.
It is true. Okay, like because you're just because you 1 point were somewhere near Jeffrey Epstein does not mean that you're part of this giant criminal conspiracy. The guy was existing for years. He was a socialite. He was all over the place. That doesn't mean just because you talked to him one time somewhere on his Bill Clinton was on the Lolita Express a bazillion times. He went to the island a bazillion times. There's problems there. Okay, there's obviously problems there. But if there's one instance of one person walking into New York mansion, whatever the hell it is, Epstein's place up there, are you going to throw him under the bus too? He's instantly like, what if he doesn't even know him? That's the problem with some of this stuff. And that's the way you got to remember this, is that you can't sit there and throw every single person that there's an email from it doesn't even have to be related to it. They can just be two random people talking back and forth with each other.
From Elon to Epstein. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
What are you talking about?
I mean, listen, Elon to Epstein, but you're not referencing my point here. My point is that there can be uncorroborated evidence that doesn't have anything to do with it. I'm talking about generally speaking.
Biggest cope I've ever heard in my life.
What are you talking about?
I think you're desperate for attention, man.
We don't need to hold on, no, Henry. We don't need to insult him. I mean, we're trying to get I'm trying to get any sort of reaction here. What are you talking about? What is this email that you're talking about? It's between Elon and Epstein directly.
Dude, read the files. You're
I don't have to listen to me, dude.
You literally just said you haven't even read into it.
Like, will you stop for a minute? And will you stop?
Go read it.
No.
Go read it.
What? Oh my God, dude.
No. Okay.
Dude, listen to me. Listen to me. You're on my show. I'm very generous. I don't have any problem with people coming up on my show and talking, okay? I have no problem with that. But you're sitting here screaming, read the files. I don't have time right now to go read 3 million pages. If you have something specific, put it in the bottom, and I will look at it so I can see what you're talking about. But you're not even referencing my whole point here. My whole point is that there's going to be all sorts of strange things that exist within these files that doesn't necessarily prove anything. That's my point. Okay, if you've got a direct email that shows from one person to another person, put it down there so I can read it. Okay, I'm not going to right this second on the middle of my show going to go out and read 3 million files, dude. It's not happening. Okay, I can't do that. I don't have time for that. But if we want to talk about it, you can reference what you're talking about, put it below, and I'll look at it. But I mean, just sitting here saying there's a direct between two people, that doesn't help me, dude. I haven't read this file. If you want to talk about it, put that.
But I will post it right now. I will do that right now for you, sir.
Okay.
Why don't you summarize it, man? Can you summarize it for us if it's so damning? Like in a nutshell.
Okay, this was 58 minutes ago. Elon accepted an invitation from Epstein to visit the Caribbean in 2018. Email from Elon Musk to Jeffrey Epstein. Will you come to the Caribbean this Christmas, Woody Allen, with me? You might enjoy.
From Elon Musk?
From Elon Musk.
So he invited Epstein to the Caribbean.
One or the other. One or the other,
Don't you think you should get your shit straight before you fucking make an accusation? Sorry, Walt.
I'm literally reading the email right now.
Well, do a better job reading.
From Elon Musk to Jeffrey Epstein. What the fuck do you need to do?
Listen, so I'm reading. Listen to me.
Because it was Epstein that was in the Caribbean with his island dude. Why would Elon invite Epstein to his own place? What are you talking about?
Because
You're not even
just
logically
give me a
thinking.
second here. So just look, guys. So I just went and just looked this up. Okay, so I'm looking at the email he's talking about. This is from Elon Musk to Jeffrey Epstein. Says, let's see here. Can we fly back to L.A.? He's going back and forth with him, talking about it. Can we go to the island or something like that? Can there? What day is your wildest party? This again, dude. You're talking about one single email here. Just because he's got one email here, that doesn't help you a whole lot.
One email, bro. I'm driving right now. I would literally post all this shit for you, dude. You got to look at this, bro, and you will come to your senses. I'm sorry to say.
All right, so I'm looking at a couple different random things here. I'm looking at a couple things here that have said, so how many people, so I see one here from Elon. It says November 25th, 2012, to Jeffrey Epstein, probably just Tallulah and me. What day and night would be your wildest party on equals our island?
And that's noteworthy.
I mean,
that's noteworthy. That means something to this kid.
Listen to me. This the problem with this.
All right, I'm gonna dip out. I hope you guys actually read into this before you start. Just
you are reading into it.
I mean, listen to me. I'm not. Listen, I'm just reading what you're talking about. I'm just looking at these new things here, and to me, guys, everybody that sits here and talks about it as if this is the end of all days. How is this the end of all days to me? It doesn't do it for me. I mean, again, you've got random email between people that are just because they're all just because they knew each other and they did something to each other. Again, that doesn't prove anything. It doesn't prove anything at all. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help me. It doesn't help anybody. So that's the only problem I have with all this. So if we want to continue to talk about Epstein more than we can do that, but I mean, until I see something else, I just don't see it, dude. It's just not there for me. Okay, we can keep moving though. In generally speaking, I guess I should go read through some more of these emails if they're really that damaging, but I don't think so. So, maybe they are, but I doubt it. But anyway, we can keep moving here though. So we've got a ton of other stuff we can talk about tonight. There's another story that we haven't even brought up yet that I wanted to talk about. And have you guys been paying attention to this cloud bot thing that has been going crazy today? Have you guys been seeing this? The new AI that's been everywhere?
I've been seeing like bits and pieces of it, but I haven't really looked into it too much.
Well, this new AGI thing that's come out is pretty incredible. It's they have a bot that's set up that has its own social media account, and this is the worry that I have with it is that apparently the Claude bots have already started virtue signaling to each other, which is just terrifying in my eyes. That's just oh no, they're already doing that to each other. So that's not good news. But that's new stuff that came out today, and I actually built one of these things and have it set up, and it's actually running right now as we're speaking here on X, and it has its own account, and it is sitting there doing stuff. Now, what it's doing, I'm not really sure. I haven't checked on it in about 40 minutes now. But the deal is that it looks to me pretty interesting. So that's going to be a very interesting story over the next while now. In terms of whether or not it's AGI, which is what people are talking about it as, I don't know. I don't know if I would consider it AGI. It looks like it's doing pretty cool things. There was Alex Finn posted a video earlier of it. Apparently, his Claude bot figured out how to get a cell phone number and then called him, which is crazy. I mean, that's pretty cool. To me, I'm always looking for a new tool, something that I can actually use, and this is really cool. The way that this thing works is amazing. It's sitting here running currently, and it will post anything on X randomly, and I told it just do whatever you want. And so I'm going to be watching it over the next couple of days to see what it does, but so far, I've been watching what it does and how it operates. It's getting better every minute that I've been using it. And this sort of stuff to me, it looks really like the next generation of what these AI tools are going to be able to do. Really cool stuff. Really, really cool stuff. If you guys haven't checked it out yet.
You got to show me this thing.
Yeah, I'll show it to you. I mean, it works pretty well. I mean, it's just sitting here running right now, just doing, I don't know what it's doing right now. Reading Mike Lee's post currently, apparently, and commenting on Mike Lee's post. So, to me, it's cool stuff. I mean, I've used all of the AI agents as they've come along. Most of them have been pretty much useless. You have to give them prompts and they break all the time. But this thing, not this one. This one just does whatever. It sits there and runs all on its own. And it's been doing this now for, I don't know, a few hours at this point. I've probably been having it run for about 4 or 5 hours now. It's pretty impressive, I've got to say. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. So I'm very curious to see where it continues from here, because if this is the next future of the way that AI assistants are, this is really good stuff. Really, really good stuff. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that continues here. But I'll show it to you at some point here soon, Jacktron. You'll have to set it up on your computer. It doesn't take anything to do. You can run it on your own machine, and it's all local. So pretty amazing.
All right, yeah. Just show me how to do it.
Yeah, I'll show you how to set it up later. It's pretty interesting stuff. Okay, so we've got other stories to talk about today. So I do want to talk about this TPS status that's going to be removed because apparently it looks like Tom Homan and Donald Trump are actually going to be moving on this, and they're going to be coming into Springfield, Ohio, which is exciting. Very exciting stuff for me because I live here in Springfield, Ohio. So watching this is going to be something else. And as I was talking about earlier, there was anti-ICE like activists that like barricaded a church, and I kid you not, apparently they put on ICE uniforms. I would pay money to see this. Okay. I was mad that I wasn't here this past weekend to watch this. Apparently, they actually did put on full ICE uniforms, go to this church, and had a mock ICE raid where they barricaded the doors of the church and hid in the church and screamed through the doors to each other that, we're practicing our freedom of religion. You can't deport the people that are in here. And that to me had to have been the funniest thing ever. I'm mad that my people here in town didn't video it. They told me about it afterwards. I was like, "Are you kidding me? Why is this not? Why didn't you video it? That should have had your cameras out, videoing every moment of that." But I'm going to be going out and finding it. So this should happen. I guess they're probably going to do another one on Sunday. So I'll go look and see if I can find one. That would be very, very entertaining if they actually manage to have one of those. Watching some of these ICE protests in other states. Here in Ohio, it's not going to be the same thing, though. The locals are probably going to laugh at these people. I'm sure there'll be a little bit of pushback, but it's not going to be like Minnesota where you've got people fighting the federal agents. That won't happen here. But to watch it happen for a little while will be very entertaining. So I do hope we get to see some of that. I mean, that should start, and that's February 2nd is the end of TPS status. So if we actually witness the end of TPS status and actually see these people start to get deported out of Springfield, that's going to change the whole city. For those who don't know, if you don't remember anything about Springfield, it went viral obnoxiously for the dogs and cats story that everyone talked about. But the problem with that was that kind of missed over the stories that were far more important for this area, specifically a story that I actually broke a couple of years ago. There was a story here in town of a Haitian immigrant. He was an illegal immigrant, and he had a Mexican driver's license. He ran off the road and crashed a school bus, killed a kid, and one kid lost a leg. Yeah, that happened, and no one talked about it. No one talked about that story at all. That story didn't go viral, but of course, the stupid dogs and cats story went viral. And I'll tell you right now, the dogs part, I never heard anything about eating dogs, but they were definitely eating cats, and they were eating the geese in the local park. But here's the deal. The reality is the locals didn't care. We actually don't like the cats. We had a huge stray cat problem. And we did. The Springfield, Ohio had a massive stray cat problem. We're actually thankful for this problem. We don't care that they were eating cats. No one gives a damn. No one cared at all about that. There was that the fact that was the reason it went viral was retarded. I mean, no one cared about the cats, guys. We had so many stray cats in the city that they were on every single street. There was like at least 24 of them. So now that the herd has been thinned, though, so I don't know exactly what happens now. Maybe we'll get more stray cats again now that the Haitians are going to get deported. But I don't know. It should be pretty entertaining to watch regardless. So over the next couple weeks, I think ICE is supposed to show up in town, and they're supposed to actually really be focusing on Springfield. So I will have people here on the ground. I've got a lot of sources here in town, obviously, since I live here. And we were going to see if we can get people actually in some of these anti-ICE mock demonstrations. So if I manage to get a video of blue-haired, goofballs with nose rings wearing ICE uniforms, you best believe I'm going to post it. I mean, I cannot wait to actually get my hands on a video like that. I'm looking for it desperately. I cannot wait till we actually see it. It's going to be so funny. I'm hoping that I get a full, moving, pews in front of church doors, all of that. I really need that stuff. That's just going to be beautiful. But we'll see what happens. I assume that the local law enforcement here in town, we don't have sanctuary city policy in this city. So that's not going to be the same sort of thing that you see in Minnesota, but I'm very much looking forward to them showing up here. So we'll see how many of them actually are willing to leave. I've not seen a whole lot of movement yet. But obviously TPS status, they've been fighting this in court the entire time, by the way. This is not something that's new. They tried to get rid of it almost immediately as soon as Trump took office. And then there was a legal battle, and they pushed it back, and they pushed it back again. They pushed it back to September. But February 2nd was the final one. So now it actually does end in 2 days. And DeWine, of course, is crying about that. He's not happy about that at all. But I'm looking forward to it. So I think it'll be fantastic when we actually watch that actually get unfolded. So watch out for Ohio and most of the Midwest, actually. It's not just going to be Ohio. Most of the Midwest is going to have a lot of this stuff happening. So I'm looking forward to it. Go ahead, Henry. You've got something to say.
Yeah, man. I mean, again, we've talked about him before. I think we both have similar sentiments regarding DeWine. And I just saw the interview, man, where he was talking about this. And he couldn't. And again, I hope everybody in the room takes this in proper, reasonable, good faith. he's just a squishy old GOP grandpa. Like, dude, he's so feckless. I can't stand this guy, man. Since COVID, in the way that things were handled with Amy Acton, we had Amy Acton bobbleheads. Yeah, sorry. He's and just when you listen to him about this, there's no leadership. There's no I don't even understand how like to find the words, man. I struggle because it's really really off-putting. It's something else. You know what I mean? I don't know if Yost or somebody else says positive things. I don't know anybody else. Trestle, like I don't know who else is around to say something with any kind of bravado, leadership, whatever you want to say. But he just sounds horrible talking about it.
Yeah, well, I agree, and you're here in Ohio too, so you know. I mean, DeWine has been terrible. Okay, DeWine is the worst governor in the country, and the worst Republican governor in the country. Okay, that's the way I'll say it, I guess. To me, there's been an argument with one of my co-hosts that's normally on the show, is Chris Marino, and he says that Brian Kemp is worse, but I disagree completely. I think that DeWine has been easily the worst, and I have a history of him. He doesn't like me very much during COVID, and I know you like that the Amy Acton bobbleheads, but there was also the yard signs that we had where we'd stick them in bushes during COVID, of them like staring in the window. It was like the eyes pointing at people, like I've got my eye on you, make sure you put your mask on. But there's other things that we despised about DeWine. When he did the lockdown, though, I actually organized with a group of people and had a party in his front yard for 2 weeks. We called a party at Daddy DeWine's because it was supposed to be curfew time. We were supposed to get in at 10 p.m. and then stay in until 5 a.m. Well, that's when the party was. That stayed from that time period. So DeWine does not like me, and I don't care. I mean, I've not liked this guy at all. I thought he was a complete rhino squish the whole time he's been in office. I mean, the first thing the guy did when he came into office was raise taxes. So I'm not a huge fan of the guy. I've never have been. And I'm looking forward to him finally being out. It's been a long time coming for him being out of office, so I can't wait till he's gone. Vivek, on the other hand, I think is actually going to do a pretty good job. I'm looking forward to seeing him come out. I think he should start swinging for the fences on this stuff is what he should do. He should come out against everything that DeWine says. He should say the opposite, and he'll be very popular for it, I think. I mean, I think that's the best way to go about it. So,
no, Walter, 100%. And actually, one of the things, let's set aside any personal opinions you have on their politics or their associations, whatever. Of all the people out there, including Trump, I don't know that there's anybody, and I love Trump, dude. I don't know that there's anybody that delivers a message better than Vivek or JD in terms of his ability to, in real time, articulate clearly, banter back and forth. He's tremendous. And Rubio's great too. There's a lot of great, but those two guys, to me, are the ceiling. And to each his own. Maybe you have a better opinion, but like I love Vivek. I hope he does a great job. I understand some of the controversies, things he said. I don't fully disagree with some of his takes holistically. I think there's some interesting things the conversations that could come out of some of the controversial things that he said. But in general, yeah, I think that would be great. I don't know that there's anybody else running that right now that would be impressive. So we'll see.
Well, Vivek, the thing about Vivek to me is that I'm worried that he's getting a little bit tied up with his consultants. But I did hear that he's got JD's campaign team that's going to be coming in and running his stuff. So I'm not worried about Vivek, to be honest with you. And the reason I'm not worried about him is because I know that he can work hard. That's the bigger part about it. Like his campaign, generally speaking, he actually is willing to show up and work really, really hard. So I think that he'll be okay. I'm not too concerned about that. I think that he's actually going to run just fine. What he should do, in my eyes, is he should just take his presidential campaign that he ran previously and then run that exact same campaign. That's what he should do. If he's going to win, that's the only way to do it. Just take that same campaign and run the same thing that you did then in Ohio, and you'll win. I mean, again, people talk about it. There's a couple of I've watched some Democrats act as if there's some sort of like
in earmark spending.
Oh man, sorry guys. This is my. By the way, I want to point this out. What you just heard there, that is the AI bot. It is actually running in the background right now, and it pulled up a video and just started playing it because it was curious about whatever this video was. So if you guys want to, if you're curious about how these things work, it's literally, it's just started playing something randomly. And I guess it's watching, I don't know what it's watching here. It's watching a video of Mike Lee. I mean, this stuff is so cool. I mean, I'm telling you right now, this is amazing watching. Oh, and now it's replying to Mike Lee right now. So I guess this is the kind of stuff that this happens from these things. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. No, Vivek in general, I think that he's going to be just fine. He works hard, and I think that he's going to do fine in this state. I think that the issues that I had with some of the stuff he says is that he needs to stop apologizing for anything that he says and just own it. Be like, look, yeah, I mean, I disagreed on this certain point, and then just move forward with it. Just continue to be the brash conservative. That is going to win you much more votes. And anybody who thinks that somehow the Democrats are going to be able to pull this off and be able to win in Ohio, you're just not paying attention. The Democrats, like Amy Acton is very unpopular. People don't like this woman at all. But the other side of it is that Trump won in Ohio by like 600,000 votes. That's the other thing. Like people need to remember that. Everyone that talks about Ohio acting as if they, the Democrats have some sort of chance here. They probably don't. I mean, I would just say that they probably most definitely do not. That's the way I think about it. Is that that they don't have much of a chance. Go ahead, Henry.
Oh no, that's all, man. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised too. That do you feel like with Acton that this is just kind of one of these? Do you feel like the Democrat Party in Ohio? Do you feel like they're, I don't want to say phoning it in, but like just kind of, like, do you feel like she's a real viable candidate, or do you think that they see the writing on the wall and they're just for the time being going to phone it in? Because like, historically we kind of went back and forth, you know what I mean, in terms of like, what party was there and everything.
I don't know. To me, I'm looking at the way the Acton's running her campaign, and I'll tell you right now, I know who's running it. It's the exact same people that ran the Spanberger campaign. I mean, it is the same thing. The same thing. They're doing the same campaign strategy. They've got the same messaging. I think they've even got the same AI bot that ran her social media account. I think it's the same bot. I mean, I don't even doubt it. I mean, it's like, I'm all across Ohio today. I mean, it's the same thing they did in Virginia. And if you want to see the results of that, you can go look and see what Queen Spam has done to Virginia. It's looking wonderful down there. She's got more taxes coming out that anybody's ever heard of. She's got a tax for gym. She's got a tax for going to the bathroom. She's got a tax for dog walking. I mean, it's the amount of taxes. I love that they ran on affordability, and then the next thing that they did was raise taxes on everything they can possibly imagine. The funny thing about this is to me, watching the Democrats in some of these states, what I think that they're doing is they're realizing that the grift is up in some of these states, so they got to crank out the grift 3x in all the states that they still control, and I think that's what Spam's doing. So hopefully everyone pays attention to what the results of Virginia is, because people thought that this woman was a moderate. Yeah, real moderate in there in Virginia. Not looking great. It looks like it's going to be an absolute disaster as far as I can tell.
Yeah, usually when they say moderate, when the left says moderate for like the last 10, 20 years, it means like the worst person you could possibly conceive of, like comically, right? But also
Yes.
in wise, and what's interesting, Walter, is that actually, given that they have a connection there with regards to like who the campaign staff is and how they're guiding the campaign, this is going to be red meat, no pun intended, for Vivek to be able to, well, actually double no pun intended, for Vivek to be able to like point at an example as he's going through, hey, do we want to do what's going on over here? Look what's going on over here. There was just a little, I mean, I'm sure a lot of this is anecdotal, a lot of it's real, but there was just a gal who posted a video a short time ago who said her electric bill went to like $621 from like under.
Oh yeah,
I mean, like
that's the kind of stuff that people aren't paying attention to. It's like they're running on affordability, but the first thing that their candidates do is make things unaffordable, which is why this is the crazy thing to me. I never understood this. This is what drove me nuts about the most recent Democrat campaigns that they ran. They had this whole messaging about affordability. How on earth did we let them get away with that? I don't understand how we even sort of let the Democrats get away with that messaging, because all you have to do is ask the question, who raised the costs? Who did it? Who caused inflation to go up to the highest it had ever been in 40 years? Just take that stupid chart of Biden. Just take that chart that the Democrats dumbly posted. You guys remember that when they posted? They said, "Look at how high inflation is under Trump," and then you like, well, they posted the actual image of all of Biden's inflation just skyrocketing, and then Trump, it's like a little tiny bump. Like, I mean, just post that. I mean, I have no idea how they managed to get away with affordability as their primary messaging, because
posted on every single billboard across the country.
Yes.
It was so funny how many Democrats reposted. Like, you had like your buddy Maine reposted, and I think Ted Lieu reposted it. Like, these are not bright people.
Listen to me. The deal is that they think that this just works for them because they can say affordability. It was like, well, you guys made it unaffordable. It was you who did it. But that's, again, that goes back actually onto the Republicans. The Republicans should have been able to go against that. Okay, they should have been able to actually attack on that, and they didn't. Okay, they couldn't land a message on that, and for some reason they all now believe that they need to mention affordability the same. And it's like, guys, you're reading into this the wrong way. What you should have done is attack them on it. And now that Spamberger is going to make it unaffordable to live in Virginia, you should go attack on that again. Okay, here's the Democrats on affordability. This is the result. Lunatic taxes on everything you can possibly imagine. What an easy campaign ad. This is what you have to look forward to. More and more taxes, more and more control, more and more. They've already got stuff they're trying to move forward on the Second Amendment. They're going to try and ban 10-round magazines, which is already Supreme Court precedent against it, but they don't care. Okay, that doesn't mean anything to them. They're going to try and go forward with anyway.
Like immigration enforcement around polling locations. Can't imagine why.
Listen, I loved that. That was one of my favorite things in the new bills they're talking about. Yeah, we're gonna ban immigration enforcement around polling locations. Like, are you just trying to tell us that you use illegals to get votes? I mean, is that what the goal is here? I'm not sure, but I mean, this is amazing stuff to me.
But these are, Walter, it's a great example, right? Because they're just throwing things out there for the right to organize and to essentially pick up the ball. They're fumbling the ball and we don't pick it up. Like, which is, I don't know, man. It's a little disheartening at times, but yeah, like that's like right over the middle of the plate. Like, come on, you know what I mean? So
you would think. I mean, to me, I feel like the affordability messaging has always been so stupid that the Republicans can't figure out how to attack them on that. Hopefully, with what Spam's done in Virginia, now we've got an attack ad on that. I mean, I think that's the easiest way to point to it. It's like, this is what the Democrats do when they claim they're going to fix affordability: raise taxes on every single person that exists by a ridiculous amount. I think Virginia, they're talking about moving up to like a 13% income tax. Like, they're just going to take more money out of your pocket, and they have to do it because the reality is that the one problem the Democrats have is that when they run these candidates that are terrible, I mean, Spanberger is a perfect example because she's an idiot. I mean, the woman can't speak. She can't answer questions. She is just retarded in almost every single way. Like, I refer to her as kind of as a goldfish, and it doesn't matter to them. They just needed her in power. And the funny part about that is that the real reason they wanted her and J. Two Bullet Jones in power was so that they could get redistricting done. And now that's been struck down by the courts. And that's not going to be able to move forward. So, they put two terrible candidates in power that are idiots. And, Attorney General, I don't know if you guys saw that, Attorney General Jay Jones posted a image talking about his office, and he didn't spell attorney right. I mean, this is the elected officials of the Democrats, guys. They can't even spell. I mean, you got to love it.
For that, Walter. They have been selecting for that, and some people have speculated about that. Since then I've been watching this pattern for many years now. They have been selecting, and there's different theories as to why, but they have been selecting for hyper incompetence.
Well, I think, but here's the reason for that, though.
There's all kinds of reasons why it might be.
Well, I mean, the real reason for it is very obvious. It's because the special interests that control them, they're the ones that have the power. So when you have morons that are, like, here's an example, okay? The new person that's now going to be the Secretary of Education in Virginia is a lobbyist. Okay, that's not like it's some person that cares a lot about education. It's a lobbyist. It's just some progressive lobbyist. I mean, so they're going to make money off of whatever decisions they make. Of course they are. I mean, it's the grift machine. Okay, the grift machine of the upside of the Democrat politics is whoever the special interests are control literally everything, and that's exactly what they're going to do. So I mean, that's the problem with the people like this. So Spanberger, she took money directly from the redistricting Democrat campaign. She took like $300,000 from them right at the end of the campaign. And, she changed her tune entirely on redistricting. She hadn't said a single word about it the entire time during the campaign. Then someone gave her money and she immediately shifted her position. So that's how it's going to be. I mean, that's how it's going to be. Anything that the special interest groups that control Spanberger and control her administration, they're going to do whatever they say. And those are big left-wing progressive special interest groups that funded from out of state. So expect, I keep saying that it's going to be Eastern California. And that's unfortunate, but that's just what's going to happen. And unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of buyer's remorse, and she's going to wreck that state very, very quickly. And I try to warn people, but, everyone was all screaming that, oh, my God, I'm not sure I like the candidate. I'm not sure Winsome is the right decision. Well, look what you got now. Have fun. That's going to suck. That's going to be really, really terrible, and she's going to make a mess out of the state before she's done with it. So, but that gives us a lot of ammunition, and this is the other part about it. It's kind of a good thing on a national scale for us, because what Mamdani does to New York City, which he's going to be a disaster, and the people he's already put in charge have been a disaster. What Spanberger does to Virginia, there's your example of how the Democrats fix affordability. Nothing is going to be affordable, and everybody's going to be bankrupt. I mean, that's what their intention is. Business is going to leave Virginia very rapidly. It's going to go back into decline. It's going to probably undo all of the progress that Youngkin did, unfortunately. That's just the reality of it. That's just what's going to happen.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying. Like, I mean, and we kind of know this by pattern, but like, this is so accelerated. It's like they're really trying to destroy the state. But when we think about it, not in such vague labels, they're basically trying to run out anybody. They're trying to turn into like a third world-ish, territory, right? Because they basically want to run out anybody that's reasonably successful, like, trying to I don't know how to say it, dude. It's so flabbergasting, but like the thing that's interesting, Walter, do you think that there's a hidden opportunity here with regards to where Virginia's heading, where Mamdani is heading? I was thinking the same thing right before you said it. For 2028, for us to have like all of this, just again, more chum in the water, like opportunity to speak about, like, hey, look, these two goofballs took over, extreme radical left, and look what the result was.
Well, I mean,
Like,
I think there is. Listen to me. I think there's an obvious opportunity on it, Henry. Okay, because the way that you got to look at it is they have been talking about how they're going to fix everybody's problems with socialism and pixie dust, and the reality is that socialism and pixie dust does not fix anything. It never has, never will, never going to. Socialism does not work in any scenario wherever you apply it. It is always a terrible decision. Okay, it has never worked, and there's like I love it when you get, especially like the true believers are like, well, it wasn't true communism, it wasn't true social. Oh, shut up! Just what? Like, what do you want? Okay, like what example is there ever a true example of these things? The reason that there isn't one is because they don't exist. They never happen. It never works.
Like,
they never do anything. And by the way, I want to welcome Jordan Daly to stage. What's up, Jordan? Maybe. Oh, there he is. What's up, buddy?
No, I'm here. Nothing much, Walter. Just, I mean, today is always a day. I was really happy with the arrest, and I guess I got to text everybody and say Pam Bondi's actually doing her job, which I think is just wonderful.
Ring the bells, hallelujah! Someone got arrested. I mean, even though they let him out right afterwards, I don't care. I mean, that doesn't matter. She's still arrested. I mean, they did charge him with 2 felonies, so he can be released all he wants, but he gets to fight that in court, which should be entertaining to watch anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I to be honest with you, I'm surprised they gave him cashless bail. That that's one of those things that Donald Trump has been saying for God knows how long, right? So,
they played into that really well, didn't they?
Point come next week.
Yeah, they played into that perfectly. They gave him cashless bail. The millionaire CNN star or whatever the hell it is, he's got a cashless bail because we just got to give him a break on that. We can't charge him too much. He's going to have to spend too much in attorney fees for the next 2 years as this goes through, which should be very entertaining. I don't give a damn. Like, that's the way that I look at it. I don't care that he's already back out. Let him enjoy the process. The process is the punishment for the Lemón. Okay, let the Lemón enjoy the process. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Walter, do you feel as though this is going to be a case where he's kind of walking into this purposefully, and from what we're hearing, I've heard in some other spaces and stuff that there's basically, the federal judges in that area, they're very, and again, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, that they're anywhere from Soros to activists to just hard left, right? So is this just going to be is he going kind of through this and trying to turn himself into a martyr to kind of rehabilitate his image with CNN and all the women that he treated poorly, or what, the whole narrative around how he got fired and what have you?
Maybe.
Do you feel like this is something that was the first, not the very first thought. The first thought was like, hey, that's great. We finally got somebody,
maybe
like a public arrest, like a public figure arrest.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe. I mean, he can be using it for all sorts of things. If he's smart, if he's intelligent, which I'm not sure he is, he could use this as a means to kind of grow a media presence back in. Because to be honest with you, and I've said this multiple times recently, nobody watches that guy. Okay, like nobody cares about Don Lemon. And the reason you know that is like, when's the last time anybody, and I mean friggin' anybody, has seen a clip of that guy talking? Can you name one? I can't name a single. No one does that, dude. No one pays it. It's like Jimmy Kimmel. Like Jimmy Kimmel got his.
I mean, the last time we saw anything big from him was when Elon went on his podcast and absolutely just ran him.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's the last time anybody paid any attention to him. So now he's got a chance. If he's smart, he could use this as a means to actually get some media attention and take essentially the $1 billion media machine. And this is the better way to do it. This is the same thing I said about Kimmel, by the way. If Kimmel was smart, when he got all that attention, he could have had a whole new audience base if he had come out and done interesting things afterwards. Instead, he didn't. He came out and fake cried on the set and, acted like a little weasel. And as a result of that, no one watches or cares about it anymore. Like every now and then I've seen people that they share a new clip of Kimmel. I'm like, just let him go back. Okay. Like let him go back to irrelevance. No one cares about him. Like stop sharing clips of Kimmel. I don't care about Kimmel. I don't want to hear what he has to say. He's never said anything interesting ever. So why would I start listening to him now? But the same thing with Lemon here. If he wants to try and use this, if he's smart, he'll use it properly and actually manage to get an audience from it. But I don't know. I mean, to me, I don't really care what his purposes are. I'm just glad that they arrested him and made a public thing out of it. Now, I would have much preferred to actually see the Frog March, the night, the pre-dawn raid on his house like they did to all of the conservatives. That would have been much better. But whatever. I mean, who cares? Maybe he'll get prison time. Maybe he won't. But I just hope that it takes him 2 years and $8 million to fight it in court to not get charged. That's what I think should happen. Now, I did predict this, by the way. The funniest result of this, the funniest possible outcome, and I do love irony, and I am 100% here for the entertainment, I promise you, on stories like this. The funniest result of this would be Don Lemon, because of this case, gets the FACE Act overturned. That would be the funniest thing that could possibly happen from this. Like, without question. That would be the FACE Act, by the way, guys. The way that this law was actually written is for abortion clinics, but they managed to tag on religious, for church exemptions onto it as well as a means to get it through, to get it passed from conservatives to get support for it. So if Lemon manages to overturn the anti-abortion protest law, that will be peak irony. And I am 100% here for it. I hope it happens. That would just be the funniest thing ever. If they go all the way up to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court says, no, well, doesn't matter. You can protest anywhere, including at abortion clinics and churches. Like, that will be amazing. Like, that will just be fantastic. I can't wait to see that happen. That would be the funniest actual result of all of this. So I hope it happens.
Have you seen currently the situation that's going on in Los Angeles as well right now with
It
the
just
ICE
kicked off,
facility?
yeah, like an hour ago. Yeah.
What now? What
Yeah.
happened? Sorry, continue, Jordan.
They have started to raid an ICE facility that's down there, and it looks like the most recent update that's over there is stating that they're saying they want everybody to disperse right now while agents are being surrounded. So, and that's on Sorters. I'm going to send it over to you now.
Yeah, send it over. I haven't paid attention to Los Angeles. I saw some stuff that was happening there earlier of them attacking ICE agents, or they were like surrounding the facility, but I hadn't followed the updates on it yet. So I'm not surprised to see that they're going nuts there. This, guys, to me, this is one of the things that I'm working on in the investigation that I'm doing, the fraud investigation, which is also tied into the Antifa funding and all this different stuff, is that the reality is that these areas like Los Angeles and Seattle and Portland and Minneapolis and Atlanta, Georgia, and Austin, Texas, all these places are hubs for the Antifa network and part of the Torch network. So, my theory is that really that's where you're going to see the most fraud, and that's also where you're going to see the most amount of chaos, because that's where the most fraud is. So I'm not surprised that Los Angeles is popping off again, but I haven't seen it today. That to me tells me that Los Angeles is probably going to be their big focus coming up here soon, which is interesting because, we're going to be there next week. So good for us. Good timing. Okay. Sunlight, you had your hand up. Go ahead, bud.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for the day, Walter, when they cut off the funding and all these freaks have to go back to the plasma bank, to make their money. Because I keep getting these text messages from American Red Cross saying, we need blood. It's like, help us support, ending the NGO money, and you'll have plenty of blood, showing up to get their weekly
On this
stipend.
vote, the yeas are 40.
Yeah, sorry.
but I think,
sorry, Sunlight. I don't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to point it out again that was the AI that is still running in the background playing a random video. So continue. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to also say, that, when you look at, I thought you were going to play in the arms of the angels, when you're talking about Don Lemon, because you got Lemon, you got
I forgot
Geraldo Rivera, you got
I forgot about
Wallace.
that. Yeah, for those who don't,
Jaime Acosta, is there a reality show in here, Walter?
For those who don't remember, a couple months ago, we had a segment on the show that we were doing, and it was in remembrance of all of the fired journalists, and we would actually play "Falling in the Arms of the Angel," and we had a whole bit for it. That was a great part of the show a couple months ago. We should probably bring that back in memory of Don Lemon and his fallen journalistic careers. He's fallen on hard times. He got a mugshot. By the way, is that mugshot out there yet? I need that.
No, it is not out yet.
Oh, son of a bitch! I need that mugshot. I really do need it.
Tell 0 Hour that mugshot he posted is fake.
Okay, go ahead, Sunlight. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm getting misty just thinking about it. I'm getting misty thinking about 2 months ago. It's like, but it's like there's a reality show. Maybe it's like the theme song is memories, and then they remember when they actually broke onto the scene and they actually had that one moment where they actually did something journalistic, and then the rest of their career was dog shit, basically.
Yeah, I mean, listen to me. I don't know, but I am looking forward to seeing that mugshot. I think it'll be fantastic. But in terms of what is happening in LA, Jordan, I think that should be pretty interesting. We're going to be in LA soon, so looks like we might have been hitting pretty good timing. And here's the thing that I've been saying for a minute. I think the way they do this is they kind of move in a large unit and go place to place to place. So it looks like Minneapolis is now kind of under control as far as I can tell. I love that they said that they're not doing anything, and then Tom Homan comes out today and it's like, well, Now the ICE, we're ramping up targeted operations in Minneapolis, and the local PD are helping us with it. So it sounds like capitulation from walls. So we'll see what happens with that. But now it looks like LA is popping off, so that means Bavino and his crew must be over there. I mean, it looks to me that's the way that it works. Okay, wherever Bavino and his specific SRT unit crew moves, that's where the most protests are. And I think that's because that there's the people that actually go out there and really get the people that they need to get off the street. So we'll see. I mean, I'm not sure what the next step is, but we're going to have to keep watching it. But I'll keep paying attention to what's happening in Los Angeles today. But again, we'll be there next week, so we'll be able to cover this stuff specifically on the ground. So.
Exactly, and not to mention also, I'm pretty sure there's a couple people there already, and I'm pretty sure they just sent me some DMs saying, "Oh, you haven't even seen the half of it. It hasn't hit the internet yet." So
excellent. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. Good stuff. Well, I'm looking forward to it. We'll be out there, starting in the beginning of next week. So Tuesday, Wednesday, I will be in San Diego. So I'll be in San Diego for a little bit there. And then I'm going to be in LA the rest of the week. So that should be entertaining if there's going to be ICE protests and all that stuff. By the way, guys, the show for next week, we'll probably be doing mostly spaces and, maybe one or two video shows, depending on what we find out. Specifically with the fraud stuff, we'll do video coverage of that. But there'll definitely be spaces in between that because I find the spaces are easier to do and actually manage to maintain the show while we're on the road because all I need is a cell phone to do it. I don't necessarily need the whole setup. But we'll make sure we continue the show next week. But we've got a ton of other stuff coming out. And as we get into the following week, we will be down in Florida for a couple days. And then I think after that, we're going back across the country. So it should be, this is just going to keep getting bigger. And every time I talk to other journalists about the fraud stuff that we're working on, I know Nick Shirley's in San Diego right now, which I didn't know he was even going there because I'm supposed to be there on Tuesday. So, that's pretty cool stuff to me that the people that I'm thinking, the other journalists that I need to meet with are already out there.
Yeah, have you met him before, Walter?
No, I've never met Shirley before.
Okay, that would be interesting, yeah.
Well,
surely you can't be serious.
Shirley,
dude,
stop.
I had to, man.
I am serious, and stop calling me Shirley.
Hey, Walter. By the way, I was curious, to see what the arrests were and the deportations, by state since Trump took office. And Texas, of course, 94,800, 87,300 deportations. Just going to go down real quick on the list. Second up was Florida with 41,000 arrests, 37,700 deportations. And believe it or not, the third on the list is California, 34,800 arrests and 32,000 deportations.
Well, see, this is here's the interesting thing about this number, and I pointed this out while this was happening, is that Minneapolis and Minnesota. Okay, so the amount of deportations that's happening there is like 2% of the national arrest, like they're actually doing for this targeted enforcement stuff. And this was the place we had the most consternation and the most insanity. Like that what does that tell you? It tells you very obviously what it tells you. It tells you that the local PD was making it hell for the federal law enforcement to do their job. That's what was happening. That's the reason all of it happened. If they had actually done their jobs, and we covered this when the new video of Alex Peretti came out earlier this week, if they had actually been doing their jobs, none of this stuff would have happened in the first place. It wouldn't have happened. None of this would have happened. Alex Peretti would still be alive if the local PD had arrested him when he was doing stuff like attacking ICE officers and kicking out the taillights to their cars. If he had been arrested then and kept in holding until all this craziness had ended, he'd still be alive. But no. We had to let him right back out and not even charge him, which is, that's just par for the course in all these leftist areas. That's what happens. By the way, guys, I want to make sure everyone who shares the show out, if you guys are here on the X space with us, I appreciate everyone who comes in here tonight. This is the Political Theater. If you guys have never been here before, this is a weeknight show, 9 p.m. on weeknights. If you guys are following us on X, Substack, Rumble, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you guys may be listening to the show, make sure you guys like the show. Put a comment down below if you got something to say. You can always put it anywhere in the show. I appreciate everyone who actually does come to the show. I always want to hear feedback from everybody on the show, so make sure you guys do leave a comment. And if you want to support this show, go to wcdispatch.com or you can subscribe right here on X. If you subscribe on X, by the way, that's the only place that you get behind the scenes on the investigative stuff that I'm working on, which is the fraud investigation, the anti-fee funding investigation. I put a little, a kind of a teaser thing that I had from something that had out the other day. I put it out on the public page, but this was the fact that I have sources that have told me multiple times that some of these police departments are helping the activists directly. And this was Cam Higbee had released another thing showing that some of the activists were working with local PD. It was like, well, I've actually got corroborating evidence of that. So I wanted to make sure I bring that out for people. But that's some of the stuff that I'm working on. So the Antifa funding, the fraud investigation, all of it's really tied together. And as we continue to move across the country and find out more about this stuff, there will be a lot more information that's coming out. So, okay, we've got a couple people coming up to request onto the show. If you guys want to go ahead, anybody who has their hand up, you're more than welcome to.
Hello.
Hi there. What's up?
So what are we talking about?
Okay, look, so if you're going to come up on the show, you kind of have to have a point right away. This isn't just like a random, just come up and say nothing. So welcome to the show. This is the Political Theater. What's up?
Okay, so we know what happened in the news, correct? Like what got released, right?
What would you got to be more context there, buddy? There's stuff that happens every single second.
Are you talking about the Epstein files?
Yes, I'm correct. Look, you're not mad at me, Walter, are you?
No, I'm not mad at you, buddy.
Okay, thank you. So right now on X, like it seems like everyone's mad now, everyone's fighting now because Elon was named and now everyone's trying to help him now. Like everyone's ganging up now on the people who are saying he's in there. So it's just a lot of fighting now on X, and that's bad. Like ever since he bought it, it turned into a political app. And I've seen tons of videos on YouTube, like if there was like a football player or something bad happened, people would be saying all types of stuff, but now it's just politics. And I mean, like, it seems like it got ruined, the app.
I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, I never used X for anything other than politics, but I was also banned from every single platform that exists other than Substack up until X showed up when Elon bought it. So I'm very happy with what he's done with X. I think it's a fantastic app and it's great. In terms of him being in the files and people arguing about it, to be honest with you, I haven't even seen like a whole bunch of people talking about this. I know there's like a whole division of the internet that their entire lives revolve around that story, but mine does not. So I don't really pay a whole lot of attention to it until there's something interesting that happens from it. But I'm sure there's a bunch of people talking about it, acting as if this is the end all of be all, but it never is, and it's always Groundhog Day when there's the next story that comes up. So go ahead.
Can you follow me, please? I understand if you'll say no.
The only reason I don't follow a lot of people is because I use my feed curated very, very carefully. If you want me to follow you, though, you can be a premium subscriber. That's something I offer for everybody. If you want me to follow people back, I do follow all the people who's actually subscribed to me. That's just a benefit from that. But I don't just follow people randomly because I need to actually keep my feed somewhat clean so I can see interesting thing that comes out. But if you're interested in that, you can always subscribe. Okay, go ahead, proxy party.
Oh, okay.
What's up? I love the name Political Theater, and I'm a thespian myself. I appreciate the theatrical arts and whatnot, and I happen to be I must be the hardest working anti-fascist in America, and I'm wondering, where do I get paid and where do I get police support? Because I would work harder if I could get either of those things. I could do a lot more with just a little bit of financial support and a little bit of police support.
Very interesting. So you're one of the hardest working anti-fascist, meaning like you work for Antifa or something like that. Is that what you're talking about?
I mean, I am single-handedly making life painfully difficult for fascists on a daily basis, and I'm just doing it myself. I just happen to be I don't like fascism. I don't like authoritarians. I don't respect authority.
Well, just out of curiosity, like who are you referring to as fascist in this scenario? Because, I don't like authoritarians and I don't like fascism either. So which people are you referring to specifically when you're saying anti-fascists?
Let's go with Team Epstein and the army of ICE heads.
Okay. So you think that ICE is specifically fascist? Is that like the idea then?
Yeah, I think they qualify.
Okay, so, I mean, I would guess I have to understand why exactly they would qualify, seeing how they're just following existing laws.
Well, laws can be fascist as well.
Laws can be fascist. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, not sure really I understand the concept of how laws are fascist. We have lots of laws. We've got tons of them. Some of them I agree with, some I disagree with, but that's not really up to us. We elect people to enact laws, and then laws are supposed to be followed regardless of who they are.
If we elect fascists to enact laws, those are going to be fascist laws that are going to control our speech, right? Our ability to move and communicate freely, our right to, human rights become eviscerated. And instead of being ruled by logic and reason, we're ruled by arbitrary authoritarianism, right?
Hold on a minute, Henry. Let me talk to this guy for a minute here, because I'm actually interested in the fact that he's, says he's an anti-fascist and he came on this show. So I guess I'm just curious here. To me, the idea of you being an anti-fascist and the idea that there is fascism in our government. Well, the laws that you're talking about were enacted by both sides of the political party many years ago. So has our government been fascist for extended periods of time? Is that the concept here? I'm not sure I understand.
Yeah, it kind of depends on your metric for what qualifies as fascist. And I mean, whether you're using like horizontal or vertical kind of, metrics. But yeah, I'd say it's since I think a really fair way to say it is that there's been different times, like back when the creation of the Federal Reserve, we became more fascist. And then in the 70s, when the British Empire kind of had that silent coup of our Wall Street, that was kind of another fascist takeover of the country. So there was kind of those two, and then of course the world wars as well, can be considered fascist consolidation of what was the sovereignty of our country.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure I understand the world wars, seeing how we were quite literally fighting fascism in that war. So I'm not sure that really qualifies in terms of the Federal Reserve being considered fascism. Maybe you can make that argument in that the government having too much control over the economy. I kind of agree with that. And I would say that our economy does have entirely too much government money involved in it. That is something that is a huge problem. And I definitely am completely opposed to our government providing almost any money into our economy. That, I would say, is a fascist problem, because essentially it's really more corporatism, though, than I would say fascism. And I really don't like it. I mean, if you really wanted to fix some of the things in our country, you should get rid of all subsidies for everything. Now, it's different if you're like a defense contractor and you're like building something specific. That's different. Okay. That's a contract that you work with the government and you build something. But subsidies from the government, if your product can't be sold and can't exist on its own without taxpayer dollars, then it just shouldn't exist. Your company should go out of business.
That subsidies should be for like temporary, for emergencies only, right? Subsidies should be an emergency only kind of temporary solution.
That I can kind of agree with you on, like something like the Chip Act. Okay, like we need to be having control of our own chips in here, but that's also because of our own stupidity and our own government deciding that they were just going to do this on their own. That it was a very dumb decision by our government to let all of our chips and all of our outsourcing of that to go to a single place that's right next to one of our major geopolitical enemies. That was retarded. We should have never allowed that. We should have made sure we had chip manufacturing in the United States a long time ago. And using subsidies to fix that quickly is a useful part of that. But I guess, again, going back into this, where we're talking about with ICE, how exactly is what ICE is doing fascist? I mean, I just don't understand that part of it.
Well, I saw a video the other day of an ICE agent saying, if you don't lower your voice, I'll erase your voice. Or he says, if you raise your voice, I'll erase your voice. And it was like very broken English. He could barely speak English. I thought it was really just ironic that we had an ICE agent who is newly American, threatening to remove the voices with violent force, of actual, the other Americans. That's a pretty fascist thing to do. And then, of course, there's everything they're doing is the way they're treating Americans is totally fascist. I mean,
hello?
Dude, hold on. You're in the middle of a conversation, so don't cut people off. Go ahead, Proxy.
And just to boil down fascism to define what we're talking about here, it's basically, using force to rule instead of a voluntary, consensual cooperation, right? Which is kind of what throughout nature seems to be working really well, is cooperation rather than just being
but that's
reckless.
But again, the point is that laws have to be enforced, and that if people try to stop the enforcement of law, that's not fascism to enforce the law. Okay, so we do have laws in this country, and they need to be enforced. So
I agree. Now the problem is the laws are being selectively enforced.
Walter, breaking. There's more protests also going on in Austin, Texas, as well.
Yeah. What did I say?
Oh shit! That's right up the street. That's right up my road.
Listen to me. So, in terms of the funding that people get, so here's something that may be interesting to you, Proxy, since you're saying that you're hardest working for the anti-fascist in the country, which is interesting to me. Just the fact that you're coming on the show and willing to talk is amazing. Most of these people have no interest in speaking with people, which is something I've never heard any of them actually come up and talk. So
Yeah,
interesting to
I
talk
like
to
to
you.
make the distinct. I like to make the distinction between Fugazi progressives and classical progressives and liberals. There's a real distinction to be made.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure the distinction that you're referring to, but we'll continue the conversation anyway on it because it is interesting to me. Just generally speaking, the problem that I have with a lot of these people is that the funding that exists for these people actually does come from the top, and there is large amounts of funding that goes into supplying people for these protests. So there's millions of dollars that get funneled into state-run or NGOs, then do stuff like supply training manuals, bail funds, all sorts of stuff for these people. So this is something that does exist, and we
Oh
have the funding
yeah,
for
Yeah,
it.
I'm against
we've
that
been knee
too.
deep in figuring out about where this money is coming from. Like we've been learning about is groups like States at the Core,
Yeah.
the Art Project RP, funded
But listen,
Hopewell Fund.
there's innumerable amounts of these things, okay, that they do stuff like fund that, and you say you're against that, which is interesting because you keep saying that you're anti-fascist, but I mean the only thing that I've heard so far that you're saying is like that you're specifically against is the enforcement of law by ICE, which is not in any way fascism, but I mean if
What
you're
I'm
referring
suggesting is
to
the law needs to be enforced against ICE. ICE needs to follow the law as well, and ICE is breaking the law, and so they're
but
being
ICE,
allowed to break the law.
but
And when
ICE,
they're being
but
allowed,
ICE is
that makes
not.
them fascist.
ICE isn't breaking the law, though. ICE is going out and doing what they have to do. And the unfortunate part about this, by the way, one of the real reasons you're seeing a lot of the consternation in the streets, by the way, though, is that local law enforcement is doing what they're supposed to do to support federal law enforcement. ICE itself is an organization isn't supposed to have to go out into the middle of the streets and do these giant raids. Okay. That's not what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to just go get ICE detainers from local PD and go pick people up from the local PD's detention facilities. That's how it's supposed to work. That's how it's supposed to work. But what happens is when you've got these places that they run these sanctuary cities and they refuse to work with local law enforcement then doesn't do their jobs and they let these people back on the streets, which forces ICE to have to go out on the streets and have to have force protection for those people to be able to do that, which is a huge problem, which is where you get a lot of these problems, where you get a lot of this violence from because you've let local law enforcement isn't doing crowd control and isn't doing anything about this. And they're letting these people get up and into the faces of these ICE agents, which is not look, if you go out in the middle of the streets and you pushing and shoving and doing things to federal law enforcement, yeah, they can defend themselves. That's just how it works.
And I agree that's not helpful, and I appreciate you exposing these paid provocateurs who are being put out there to essentially just cause more division and conflict and escalate and accelerate the problems we already have instead of actually solving them. And what you'll notice is that all of these organizations would never give me a dime. Not only would they not give me a dime, they won't give me a minute or second of support, and I can demonstrate this in public. I can show you how fake they are. You know what I mean? These are fake liberals. These are not real liberals. They're pushing the same agenda that you're pushing, just from another angle. And that agenda is digital borders and smart wall technology. It's coming from both sides, and their actions are going to be used to justify the integration of digital borders and smart wall technology on our counties. So have a pandemic, you won't be allowed to leave your county. And the same technology we're using to enforce immigration will then be used against regular citizens when, the power swings the other direction.
Well, in terms of what happens with digital borders and all that stuff like that to me, the surveillance stuff, I think this is where you're really going along those lines, is the digital stuff that's already existing out here. Part of the problem is that that's not going to go away because all of this data already exists and the government's now using it in different ways. And that's just, unfortunately, the future for, the way that they're trying to. I don't know about the idea of digital borders and all that. I'm not sure that's going to really happen because I'm not sure how it could happen. But it is interesting anyway. Okay, I need to move on to another hand here. But good conversation, Proxy. You're welcome to my stage anytime. Jared, you came up here. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Henry, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
No, Jared, go ahead, Jared. He's new to the stage.
Yeah, what's up, Jared?
Appreciate it, Henry. Hey guys, happy weekend, everyone. Yeah, so I'm sure you guys have went into the details about Don Lemon. Can we go back to that for a second? Is that okay, Walter?
Yeah, we can talk about Don Lemon again. I mean, we were talking about at the beginning of it that he's finally been arrested, and interesting that he's been arrested. But obviously they let him out
I
without
knew
bail.
you couldn't wait for this, Jared.
But you also said, but here I do want to point this out, Jared. You said he wouldn't be arrested and that it wouldn't happen. Well, he did get arrested. So, what's your take on it? I'm curious.
Yeah. So, I said I don't think the charges are gonna. think it's going to be an uphill battle for the prosecutors, but I did expect I did expect the prosecutors to impanel a grand jury. Here first and foremost, obviously, and this is just fact. You have two prior judicial rulings, right, from the federal magistrate who said there was no probable cause to charge Mr. Lemon. And then obviously, I believe earlier this morning, or it was later in the day yesterday, you had the chief judge of Minnesota. I think he's a federal district judge who was appointed by George Bush, W.H. Bush. And he said that there's no evidence. And he even said that he's never seen, prosecutors sue or appeal a federal magistrate's ruling based on bringing charges about the FACE Act. I will say this, right? We've seen Pam Bondi on TV the last few days. I believe she was on with Will Kane. She said that Don Lemon, we're going to pursue. You even quoted her, Walter, the other day. We're going to pursue every last effort. So they got what they got this early win. Right. I think the question is are these charges going to stay valid? And Don Lemon, has already lawyered up. He has Abu Lowell, or whatever his last name is. And many of us know he's a prominent DC lawyer. He was Hunter Biden's attorney, very prominent, good attorney, I guess you can say. And the question is, did Don Lemon actually partake in disruption? Did he block? Just give me 1 second because I wrote it down here of what the what the goal is. Obviously, what the prosecution has to prove. 18 USC, they have to intentionally use force, threat of force, physical obstruction, or intimidation to injure, interfere with, or prevent someone from exercising their First Amendment right. So Don Lemon's mere presence at the church, even though he was not welcome in the church, does just not sit well with a lot of people. That saying that obviously this is a violation of the FACE Act. So I think he has some strong arguments. And the first argument, if I'm Don Lemon, I'm gonna obviously make a motion to strike this whole case because you had two prior judges who said, "Get this off my desk. I'm sorry, I am not going to charge Don Lemon." So you had prosecutors had to impanel a
listen
grand
to me.
jury,
Here's
which is a secret
Jared,
process, as you know.
Jared, so this is what I will say about this, Jared, is just real quick here, because I like you keep making legal arguments and you can make them all day. My thing is the process is the punishment. I don't care. I hope he has to spend $4 million. Okay. The deal is every person that went into that church should have been charged. And it looks like they are going to be going after these people, and they're going to be charging them. And the fact is, they managed to get the indictment. They managed to get the arrest. So it doesn't matter to me. I don't give a shit if he gets out of it. I don't give a shit if he has to spend in all this time and he's got great attorneys. Good for him. I hope he spends $1 bazillion. Doesn't matter to me.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, and I would agree, and I would agree with you. I think it is a W for the prosecutors. Obviously, Don Lemon. It was reported that he was heading to cover the Grammys, and the federal agents arrested him 11 o'clock at his hotel in L.A. So obviously, yeah, I mean that's embarrassing. And obviously, if you're a critic of Don Lemon, you're obviously going to say
it's not necessarily to me, it's not necessarily anything to do with the concept of me being a critic of Don Lemon. I don't really care about him. I don't pay any attention to him. I've never watched a single thing that he's ever done, and not once. I don't care about him at all. The point is that he went into a church and he did this and he thought he was going to get away with it. And he managed to get the magistrate judge to drop it, even though, by the way, and this is information you may not have already, that the actual prosecutor and the judge in that scenario said he did have probable cause, but he just didn't do it anyway. Okay, so he said he did have probable cause. So if you didn't see that, you need to go look into that. So the thing is that the complaint from the people in the church is very extensive. And the fact that they were blocking their children from getting to their parents and telling the kids that their parents were Nazis, look, it's not going to look good for him. And again, maybe Don Lemon gets out of it. I don't care. I don't care at all. He should still be punished, and this is the punishment, going through this process, having to deal with the courts, having to deal with all that. If you go to people's churches and you're doing this, and you want to listen to me, Jared, I said this earlier because I thought this would be peak irony, would actually be if Don Lemon goes through this whole process and gets the FACE Act overturned. That is peak irony, and I would be so here for that. That would be the funniest thing in the world if Don Lemon gets the FACE Act overturned, because he can prove that it's not something that he should have, that should be, people should be able to protest anywhere. It doesn't matter if it's in an abortion clinic or a church. If Don Lemon gets the FACE Act overturned, that would be the funniest result of all of this, by far and away. So I hope that happens.
What's interesting though is I agree that would obviously be newsworthy and that would be crazy. I would say it's interesting that you say that you think it's a W now. I mean, sure. I mean, I'm sure Don Lemon's embarrassed. I don't know. I've been busy all day. Has a mugshot came out yet or no?
Not yet. We were just talking about it a minute ago. I don't think what's coming out yet.
Okay. Yeah. So obviously, it's an embarrassing moment for anyone to obviously be stopped and arrested by federal agents. However, I would disagree, Walter. I think it would be an L for Pam Bondi and company and this whole administration if Don Lemon managed to get these charges dropped. Wouldn't you say that makes him look like actually a martyr instead of a felon who was, or whatever you want to describe him as?
No, I don't really care. I mean,
money.
No, doesn't mean anything to me really. Don Lemon's not that important to me.
The only thing that would prove is just how corrupt the courts are.
No, listen, guys. You're missing a point here. I don't give a damn. None of that matters to me at all. Okay, like I don't care if he gets him dropped. I don't care if he does all that. I hope he has to spend several $100,000 to $1 million in legal fees. The process is the punishment in my eyes, and that's the way I look at it. I don't give a shit if he gets out of it. It doesn't mean anything to me.
It's like the same thing. It's interesting, but I think there's a lot of people on the right that would disagree with you, Walter, because I think you have to get the conviction, right? If Don Lemon somehow...
No, you don't.
Okay,
no, see, that's what you're missing, okay? You don't have to get the conviction. No, you don't. Hold on a minute. You don't have to get the conviction because it's the same thing that happened to people on the right. Like, just think about all the people on the right that they went through the whole process, and then at the end of the day, all their charges get dropped and all that stuff, and whatever happened, even if they go all the way up to the top courts and they get these things thrown out, okay? You didn't get the conviction of Trump, did you? Was that a win or not? I mean, just think about it that way.
In New York, we did.
You got
in New York. He's a felon on paper now.
But he got removed. Okay, so the results of those convictions didn't do anything.
Not in New York.
In one
scenario about New York, he got elected. The strength of
it doesn't matter. Listen to me. The point is the same thing here. Okay, he's still in office. You didn't win. Okay, so you didn't get the win at the end of the day. So does it really matter? No, it doesn't. So the point here is the same concept. Okay, process, punishment. That's the deal. You go through the court process. Have to spend $1 bazillion in court, do it. I mean, that's all that matters to me. I don't care. I mean, if the fact that here's the other thing about this to me, Jared, just the fact that they were willing to arrest Don Lemon, I didn't think they'd do it. To be honest with you, I really didn't think they would. I didn't think they would do it. I thought they were going to back off it. They weren't going to go after it. No, they did. No, they did go after it, and they did arrest him.
We literally said to each other, Pam Bondi does not arrest anybody. We said that to each other last week, and look at this now.
Yeah, they arrested. Yeah. Listen, in our eyes, Jared, and the way that I look at this is a win no matter how we look at it. Okay, we arrested him. He got arrested. He got a mugshot. He got charged with 2 felonies. Even if he doesn't get a conviction, we don't give a shit.
I would just say, like, even going back to a few years ago, with Jack Smith or the Georgia indictments or what have you, Walter, your let's just say your inspiration or your commitment for this administration is very low. You're like, it's a W if they get charged. No, it's a W for me if Donald Trump
you're missing.
But
you see, the reasons you think that, though, Jared, the reasons you think that is because you live in the world where you've never had consequences, where any of the people on the left have ever been charged with anything ever. Okay, to us, one person getting a mugshot and getting arrested is a fucking hero. All right, like you don't understand how long it has existed on the right that nothing has happened to anybody. Anybody. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what happens. Nothing happens. Okay, you have to remember your own statement. Who knows how to arrest people? The Democrats do. The Democrats know how to arrest people. How many people got arrested, Jared? Hundreds of people. We want one, and we're happy about it. You got to remember, to us, a single arrest of a guy like this is important to everybody on the right. It doesn't matter if he gets away with it. It doesn't matter if at the end of the day he gets his famous attorney to manage to get him out of the scenario. I don't give a shit. I hope he has to spend $600,000 with Abe Lowe to get him out of this conviction. I hope that he has to go through every appeals process and deal with prosecutors for the next 3.5 years. That's the way I look at it. I don't care if he gets the convition. Doesn't mean anything to me. That's the way that I look at it.
And if I could just say, I think Democrats...
That Jared isn't really...
No, I understand.
Guys,
I understand,
guys, let Jared finish what he's saying. Then we're gonna move. I got to move on to a bunch of hands here. So go ahead, Jared.
No,
Finish what you're saying.
I completely understand, Walter. I would just say I think Democrats think the same thing with regards to happen to Donald Trump. Sure, we didn't get it, and I was actually
I
kind
know,
of
and
upset.
that's exactly what I said, isn't it? It's
But
literally the
what
same
did
thing
we
I
do?
just said.
But what did we do? We made Donald Trump have to run for president, and also the same split screen on the TV is where Donald Trump had to go in court. He had to sit down.
Yeah,
The judge
yeah,
told
but
him how he had to sit.
Jared, you're just
So
proving my point. That you're
yeah,
literally
no,
just
I'm
proving
saying
my
it's the
point.
same thing.
Yes,
Right.
that's
It's
exactly what I'm
optics.
saying. It is
It's
the same thing.
optics.
That's like you
Optics.
understand it now. Then it is the same thing to me. I don't care if he gets a conviction or not. He got arrested in public. Someone arrested him. He got walked somewhere, and he's going to get a mugshot that released. Great. Now, does it turn Don Lemon into a martyr? No. No one cares about Don Lemon on the right, really. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I have never watched anything this guy has ever done. Not once. I've never seen a clip of him. I've never seen him talk. I've never seen him say anything. Don't care. Okay, all I know is that he's used to be a decent guy, a reasonably popular CNN person, and now he does whatever the hell he does. I don't give a shit. To me, it's just a win. It's just a genuine win. He got arrested. Okay, I have to move on to other hands. Okay, so first off, I don't even know what order I'm in here, but Zynres, I haven't talked to you in a minute, so what's up, buddy?
Hey, nice to talk to you, man. I think something that Jared is forgetting in all this is that the charge was conspiracy to deprive persons of their civil rights. So Don Lemon's
One of the charges, yes.
okay, let me talk, dude. Don Lemon's actions in the church aren't what got him charged. The conspiracy is that he knew, supported, and helped the people who did deprive the rights of those people. So if those people are found guilty, and there is text messages, emails, phone calls of Don Lemon planning to help them do this, that is what he's getting charged for, not him doing it. So it doesn't even matter if he was in that church. He could have been outside the church. The fact that he is on record saying that we planned this, we decided this, is not looking good in his favor.
No, I mean, again, I don't need to go through the whole process of it because to me, my biggest point is I don't give a shit. I don't care. I mean, if the point is he got charged, he got arrested, and now he's got to fight in court. Have fun. Enjoy your time in court. Enjoy the bazillions of dollars that Abe Lowe is going to charge you, and I hope it costs you $6 million. I mean, that's the way I don't give a damn. That's the way I see it.
It does tell people, other people, not Don Lemon, but people who did this, that, hey, if you do this, you're going to get charged and you're going to have to go through the courts.
Yep.
So be prepared to spend money or end up in jail.
Yes. I mean, that's a good part about it, obviously. But again, to me, I'm here for peak irony. So I want the face act to be over because of Don Lemon, because that would just be unbelievably funny. Okay. So let's keep going around the room here. So Roden, you came up here. What's up, Roden?
Hi guys. Yeah, you're correct, Walter. I don't care if he's gonna be charged. I mean, if he's gonna get convicted. I just care about that he is going to get charged because all of a sudden we have no respect for any institutions. This is what my problem is. Church has a separation of state and church. People go over there to worship, not to listen to idiots to come in and start protesting. This is not a place or a time. So when somebody like that comes in, and I know Jared is very much, uproar about that, but in reality, Jared, didn't you the one that says that insurrection was on January 6th? I can guarantee you this is worse because this is a place of worship.
Well, listen,
It's not. It's
well. Hold on.
Car batteries to cereal.
No, it's not. Listen to me. Here's how you can realize this, Roden. The left worships the government. The government is their church. So you raided their peak cathedral. That's why they are so upset about January 6th. I actually have a whole article on this. You can go read it. It's on my X page. You can go read it. I have a whole article talking about this, how they turned the government into their essential, it's a religion. It's what they worship. They care the most about everything the government does. It actually operates as a religious entity to them. So if you want to go read the article, and I got a whole article talking about it. Okay, so
It's like that South Park episode where they made fun of Edward Snowden.
well, I mean, the deal is that you raided their peak cathedral. The cathedral is the capital. That's where all of the power comes from. Government is everything to these people. So it's a real thing. I mean, if you want to go read about it, I've got a whole article on it, but I don't need to focus on it. Honey Badger, you came up here. What's happening?
Walter, what's your point? Walter, I'm just teasing. That's from The Big Lebowski, if anybody doesn't
I
know.
know The Big Lebowski, and I really liked
And
your idea for a segment that I should do once a week called
I
"What's the
would
Point,
love
Walter?"
it.
I
I
think
would
that's a
love it.
brilliant idea. I think I have to do it. I think it's a good idea.
For reals. And you know, I'm so glad you made the point just now about the cathedral in Washington, D.C. And I think, Walter, I mean, you're pretty historically savvy. You'll remember Paul Harvey's If I Were the Devil. And that's a quote actually from that radio show. I would tell them to pray, Our Father, who art in Washington, D.C., if I were the devil. If you remember that, it's a very, very famous radio show. But one of the things that always kind of just shocks me is that how two people can look at the same situation start to finish and come up with an entirely different perspective. So I don't think it's any I look around the space and I've heard, kind of you guys weigh in and stuff, and we all saw the same thing when it happened. Oh my gosh. These people were minding their business, going in to give thanks to the Lord, keeping, Sunday, the Sabbath holy, etc., etc., and they got bum rushed by a bunch of lunatics screaming in their faces about what rotten human beings they were. But then even after a lot of the stuff trickled out, like blocking the little kids that were in Sunday school, telling them their parents were Nazis, those little terrified kids. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I can't even believe how calm those parents, that if that was my kid, somebody would have lost some teeth at least. That was horrifying. And the fact that people can still say and try to like pick it apart and split hairs. Well, is it legal? When did, at what point in history did we have to go to the law books or go to precedent to look at something on a human level and say, all of this is horrible, it's wrong, this should never be allowed to happen anywhere in the United States in any place of faith? And why were they so emboldened to do so? Well, because they see God-fearing Christians unarmed. They're trying to be peaceful. Love thy enemy. If a bunch of Christians turn the other cheek, that's an absolute bully. Now, I will say this to the Christians in the room: you do have a right to stand up for yourself. You do have a right, to have your hand on your sword in its sheath and know when to use it. There would have been nothing wrong with any of those men if they knew how to wrestle or whatever, taking those assholes down. And that's a little bit, and that's part of my big concern, though, about this, Walter. Men should always be okay, especially God-fearing Christian men that are protecting their family. That's my only caveat, is to protect what is dear to them, and by any means
Well,
necessary,
Honey
no
Badger, the
matter
one thing
where
that
you
I
are.
say, I say this I've said this many times before, but there is nothing in Christianity that says that you are supposed to cower before people that wish you to renounce your faith. That is the opposite of what you're supposed to do, actually. So there is
Amen.
nothing in any part of Christian faith that says you're supposed to bow down to people and kiss their feet when they're destroying your lives. No, that's quite
Says,
literally the opposite.
"Thou shalt not
It's
lie,
been
and
a
thou shalt not
twisting.
kill."
It's been a twisting of scripture in a lot of ways, and I think, and this is something I've said, I think perhaps before to you guys, but the translations from the Greek are very weak. The word meek is not cowering; it's it's what I just said, having your hand on your sword in its sheath and knowing when to use it. And so, for example,
Yeah,
when
but Moses didn't stutter.
Jacob, okay,
Look,
excuse me,
hey,
I didn't
listen to
mean to
me,
interrupt
dude.
you.
Sorry, all right, hold on, guys. This show, for anyone who's just new to this and has never been up here before, this show is broadcast multiple different places. Crosstalk does not come across well for everybody else that's listening, and there's lots of other people that are listening. So when you're trying to talk, just let people that are talking finish what they're saying, and then you can come in, and if you put your hand up, and we'll go to you eventually. Okay, continue what you were finishing, going, Honey Badger, and we've got other people with hands. Go ahead. Double mute. There it is. Go ahead.
There it is. Okay. Yeah, but to protect what is dear to you, in other words, like I said, to have your hand on your sword in its sheath and know when to use it. That was the right time to use it, and I think that that's kind of been the watering down of Christianity in a lot of ways, Walter. And I think that perhaps this is a teachable moment for us all. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, and in my eyes, the part of the problem is the church has been feminized by a lot of people for a very long time. a very long time. There's not enough of teaching what the actual, strength and actual courage that comes from being a Christian, and what, everyone forgets that the Christianity has been the most persecuted religion in all of human history forever. Okay, like more than any other religion has been persecuted across the planet forever. Okay, and we've still existed, and we've still grown, and we still managed to continue the faith across the country and across the world. So anybody who thinks that you need to bend over backwards and the stupid thing that you hear all the time is, oh, turn the other cheek. Listen, he also turned over the tables. Okay, so let's continue here. So all right, I got to go over here. So let's see here. We've got a ton of hands on the stage. I don't know what the order was, so let's go with Henry, and then we're going to go to Sunlight and then Proxy. Go ahead, Henry.
Yeah, just a couple quick things, and then Walter, I have a question for you. So, Proxy, I think that was you who said, "Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal." Correct? Is that right? Just very quick, yes or no?
Yeah, and that Moses was very clear on that part. I mean, that's Old Testament commandments.
I didn't invite a whole filibuster. It doesn't say "thou shalt not kill." It says "thou shalt not commit murder." So get out your dictionary and come back to it. Honey Badger, tremendous statement. Walter, you're 100% right on turn the other cheek. Turn the other cheek is for like casual daily offenses. It's not for screaming at kids. And actually, the thing or even adults, right? The thing that I don't understand about this, Walter, with the face tag, and I mean this in all sincerity, what in the world? Why does you can't go in what world in throughout American history, right? When we talk about like a legal thing, at what point can I go onto private property and start screaming and yelling and doing anything of this nature, right? Forget the Face Act, forget the church, let's just simplify it, right? Like, how is any of that legal, and why do we care about the Face Act? It's baffling to me.
Well, I mean, generally speaking, this is the kind of the problem I have with some of this stuff is that it should be more than just Face Act. I mean, if you're going to really think about it, like, why exactly were you not charged with trespassing? Obviously, they didn't want them there. There's a number of things that you can think about on this. Okay, like obviously you don't want all this stuff to happen. So, it's amazing to me that we even have to argue about this. There's a number of the ways you could charge these people. They charged into a private area and were there uninvited and then refused to leave when asked to be leaving. Okay, so that's not. Yeah, I mean that's obviously a whole nother aspect of this.
Not to mention there was assault, there was harassment, there was this, there was that. It's bizarre that we've, as we always do, the GOP. We're like I'm not going to swear. I really want to swear. We're like friggin' Charlie Brown, dude. Like we walk into the framing of the stories like idiots. And Walter, you have great sensibilities. You always, like wiggle your way around. But like on a national level, we've kind of like just say, oh yeah, the Face Act. Well, then now that opens up a whole can of worms that has nothing to do with how vile.
But the deal is, but the difference in this scenario, Henry, is that the local PD and the local prosecutors were not interested in going after it, obviously. So the federal law enforcement stepped in a way that actually they can charge them, and it was illegal based on that basis. So you have to remember that. I mean, if local PD was doing their job, none of this would happen in the first place. Okay, if local PD was doing their job, they would have shown up and arrested all the people that showed up in that church instantly, but that didn't happen. Okay, and it didn't happen because the local PD had no interest in prosecuting real crimes. So what they did is the federal government showed up with a single statute that they do have that they can go after, which has been used in the past, mostly for prosecuting 70-year-old grannies praying outside of abortion clinics. But now we've actually got people that are really deserving of it. So, and this is a law that was passed by the Democrats. So I'm hoping that Don Lemon gets the Face Act overturned. I'll just keep saying it every day until it happens. I think it would just be so funny to me if that's the way that this goes down. But anyway, we got to keep going here, guys. We're running out of time. So go ahead, Sunlight.
Yeah, hey, thanks a lot, Walter. Just wanted to kind of set some things straight, on comments that were made previously, but so initially the prosecutors went to a magistrate. A magistrate is criminal law, within the district court, and appointed. These magistrates are appointed by the Article 3 junior judges in that district in Minnesota. There are 3 that have been appointed by Obama, 3 by Trump, and 3 by Biden. And so these magistrates are pretty much, it takes a majority of the court, to place the appointment. I think that's what I saw, when I went and dug it out. And then each district court has a chief judge, and then each district court also has senior judges that when they reach a certain threshold, their lifetime appointments, they can opt for senior status, and then that opens up an Article 3 junior position, if you will.
Okay.
And so, initially it was rejected by the magistrate. They went to the chief district judge, Patrick Schlitz, and he rejected the warrants as well that they'd issued. But then they went to a grand jury, and the grand jury issued an indictment. So, because Schlitz was saying there's not enough here, you need to, take this to a grand jury and, go get an what they did. So, and the two statutes that were violated, were the FACE Act violation, which you've mentioned, and also conspiracy against rights. It's a felony, that they conspired to deny these individuals the right for freedom of movement and the right, to worship and such. So you got the FACE Act, and then there are two statutes that they violated on the federal level. So just wanted to make sure, we get the record straight there.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you.
the deal is that they went to a grand jury, and that's how they managed to get it to go forward. Now, the grand jury is the one that indicted him, so now he's going to be charged. So we'll see what happens with it. Okay, we got to keep going here because we're running we're low on time. We're actually over on time now. So Proxy, go ahead, and then we've got Jess, and then we got to end. Actually, I'm sorry, Santino, you haven't spoken yet, and I made you co-host, but you are more than welcome to cut in at any moment, my friend.
I just want to quickly say I'm all on board with what you just articulated. When you look at the end of the day, we need a face to the destruction that they're doing. I mean, I don't care either. I don't care if there's an arrest. I want a picture of him being arrested, and that's all I need. A demonstration of what they're doing. They're doing anything and everything, anything that's sacred, like a church where grandparents are going in, parents and children going there to get together, trying to get away from the claws of the NWO, and yet they come in there and destroy it. The last time I checked, when you protest outside. You don't just bar down these doors, go in, lock them in, scare the shit out of everybody, and start this chaos. Yes, I think accountability is there. I think they're trying to destroy everything and anything that is pure, and they did it there, and they used him as a demonstration, which is the CNN, and you know what? It's showing that they're not above the law, and this is what's demonstrated today. I'm glad it happened. Accountabilities are in order, and finally, yes, that's $600,000, whatever he has to pay for his lawyer fees. I think we should put that and put it back into the Trump administration, and let's move on. That's what I believe. I'm glad what happened today. It's showing people that the people on the far left, they have no choice. They're not above the law, and accountability is in order.
Yes, and that's the point to me, really. Again, the biggest point about this is just having any accountability at all. And anybody that gets a face to the name, that's the most important part. And that's really what matters at the end of the day for a lot of us out here. Okay, Proxy, go ahead.
I agree with you about that. I am like a #1 fan of accountability. And as an ex-Christian myself, I found my connection to the universe outside the church. But at one point I had, that voice spoke to me, and it told me that the truth would be both my sword and my shield. And I totally agree with your interpretation of the commandment that it is, in fact, murder and not just killing in general. And I'm perfectly comfortable with that definition as well. And I like to just reiterate that, and that I think what is going on, this is a perfect opportunity to make the distinction between Fugazi Antifa and real anti-fascists, right? Because these people who call themselves Antifa were behaving in fascist ways at this church, right? They were preventing people from moving freely. They were preventing the freedom of speech and expression, right? And the freedom of, doing their own thing without being harassed or bullied, and it certainly does seem like fascist behavior coming from these people who call themselves Antifa. And so that's what I like to make the distinction. Like, there's actual anti-fascists out there who know what the word means and know that it leads towards violence. And I don't like violence, as a man who's very capable of it. I make it a point to be as nonviolent as possible. I'm a big dude. I want to knock stuff over and hurt things. I'm a gardener. I like to make things grow. And I think what we need is to replace violence with romance. It'd be nice if we can make America romantic again. Right, and let people
Proxy,
love each other.
Proxy, you are a very interesting idealist. It's interesting talking to somebody that believes that they're the people that they supposedly support, which would be if you considered yourself anti-fascist. That you seem to have a lot of the opposite tendencies. A lot of these people, which is why it's very interesting speaking with you. Continue though. Go ahead.
Well, I don't fall for the Orwellian doublespeak. I take words very literally, right? I know what words mean. I'm a big word nerd. And I think that's what we also need. And also, I think both sides need to come together and have more conversations as well. So, yeah.
Well, more conversations is what I'm always here for. The reality is that having more conversations, a lot of the problem is with a lot of the people on the far left is that they actually refuse, and I do mean refuse, to speak with people, which drives me crazy. I mean, to me, I grew up in a world where I could have conversations with people that vehemently disagreed with everything that I said, and we could have a beer afterwards and be friends. That's why I don't mind when people come up. Like, a lot of people complain. They say, oh my God, you have disingenuous left-leaning people on your show. Like, listen to me. I'll talk to anybody. If you're willing to actually have a conversation, I'm more than willing to speak with people if they're actually willing to be reasonable and actually talk. But a lot of these people, they come in, they just scream and yell, and they shout just ridiculous absurdities about stuff that doesn't matter in irrelevant statements. I don't care if you come up and you want to talk. Okay, if you want to actually have a conversation, I'm more than happy to have them, and that's the point of this. Okay, Jess, we got to go, and then we are way over on time, guys. So Jess, go ahead.
You guys hear me?
We can hear you, Jess. Go ahead.
No, I just been listening to the conversation, and he came in, and I've just been watching it all. He came in and disrupted the church, and did all that, and harassed good people in there. That right there, I could see, free speech out of the building, but not in a church. But their side did this. They started all this, and now they're getting.
Well, the reality is,
medicine.
well, a taste of their own medicine is the more important part about all this. Reality is, Jess, I appreciate you coming up here. Guys, we are way over on time. I know there's a bunch of people requesting, and I'd love to have you guys all up on the show, but I do not have enough time, guys. We're already over by over 20 minutes now, so I want to make sure appreciate everyone who came to the show this evening, everyone who came up here and spoke. You guys are always welcome to come back to this show. This show is a weeknight show, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m., the Political Theater. I'm Walter Kurt. Make sure you guys follow my co-host up here. I've got Jordan Daly and Santino up here this evening, both two of my friends. Make sure you guys follow both of them. If they have subscriptions available, make sure you guys subscribe to them. And if you want to support this show is run completely independently. I've got no one else that helps me with this show. This is just me, and Jordan helps out as much as he can as well, but he's also insanely busy. But we got a lot of stuff coming up here very soon, guys. So if you guys want to support this show and you want to support me, go to WCDispatch.com, and you can always subscribe right here on X. That's another way you can support the show. The best way you can get the inside information, the stuff that I'm working on the investigative side, is only on here on X. But anyone who wants to support this, go to WCDispatch.com. There's a free option there as well. I appreciate everyone who comes to this show, and we will be back Monday night with more of the Political Theater. We might have a weekend show. We'll see if there's some interesting stuff that happens out here in Ohio with the protests. That should be reasonably interesting with the anti-ICE activities that apparently they're barricading themselves in churches and putting on ICE uniforms. If I get video of that, you guys will be the first people to hear about it, I promise, because that's just going to be hysterical to see. But we will see you guys next time here on the Political Theater. Thank you guys for joining us this evening, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks, guys.
Some folks are born with a liberty spark. Their hearts beat red, white, and blue. When the anchors sneer and the cameras bark, they turn the lens right back at you. Truth bound, ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're not the party line sons, no, it ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're the vigilant ones, so. Some folks inherit silk-lined halls, spend our sweat while preaching share. But when the tax man wraps his knuckles raw, their mansions suddenly look bare, impaired. Ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're not their banker-raised hairs, no. Ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're the vigilant ones, so. Yeah, some paint stars on press room lies and send the common men to toil. Ask them, how much truth will you trade tonight? They mutter, more noise, more noise, more noise. Ain't for sale, ain't for sale. Not the theater's pawns, friend. It ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're America's steadfast ones. No, we won't be spun.